summer meeting here at Mountain Meadows. It's a great honor to be up here. I'm Todd Kiefer, your president, and looking forward to a very fun morning. It's going to be a great day, lots of good energy in the room. We've got some great speakers for you today. I'd like to also start off just by thanking our presenting sponsors from EasyGo, Todd Martin and Mike Cross and Steve Monsey. So thank you very much, guys, for helping us set up today. We'll start off with a flag salute, so everybody can stand. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now I'll bring up Mr. Robin Shelton, our secretary, to do the invocation.
Good morning, everyone. Before we start this morning, would you just join me in a moment of prayer? Would you bow your heads? Heavenly Father, we thank you for this morning. We thank you for the chance to be here. We thank you for the opportunity to gather together in fellowship in the name of golf, and the chance to be here together to learn, to walk out of this room more educated and better because of our time here. We're grateful for all of our servicemen and women who protect us day in and day out. And we just thank you for the chance to be here. And we pray this in your son's name. And all of God's children said? Amen. He's a lot taller than I am. All right, at this time I'd like to bring up from our Metro chapter Representative Mr. Vic Placeres to say just a few words.
Both taller than I am. So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Metro chapter, I'd like to welcome you and just thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to either come down or up from your chapters, as it may be. So, welcome. It's our pleasure to have you, and we hope you enjoy the summer meeting.
Thank you, Vic. Now we'll bring up Mr. Robin Shelton again to do the meeting minutes and roll call.
I did get a couple bites in, so thank you very much. Just from the floor, the minutes have been on the section website, but can I just get a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting's minutes? I have a motion. Is there a second? Second, thank you. Any objections? Seeing none, the minutes are approved. Thank you for that. We'd like to take just a quick moment. I think some of the things that are fun at these meetings is just getting a chance to get to know everybody, connecting, get to know a little bit about some of us in the room. So we'd like to just go around the room and have everybody introduce yourself as well as what club you're from. So I think we will start there. Start in the very far corner of the room. Thanks for leading the charge, sir.
Carlsbad Golf Center.
Eric Norman, Marshall's Golf.
Jack Kazarian, Monarch Golf Links.
Eric Julie, Monarch Beach Golf.
David Jacobo, Oak Creek Golf.
Anthony Lonson, Monarch Beach Golf.
Brendan Meadows, Monarch Beach Golf Place.
John Magnolia, Hacienda Golf Club.
Ryan Kennedy, Oak Country Golf.
Chris Gillian, East Country Club.
Kyle Kelly, Cameron Country Club.
Andrew Larkin, UCLA.
Thomas Stewart, Valencia Country Club.
Jamie Duval, Algar Golf Club.
Russell Muzica, Burley Hills Country Club.
Jim Rosetta, Westchester Golf Course.
Jim Dennerline, University Golf Course. Eric Jarrett, Southern Country Club.
Robert Duncan, Mission Lake. Simon Letts, Saddle Lakes Golf Club.
Brent Smith, Ivy Ranch.
Steve Knopf, Oasis Country Club. Jerry Wiz, Alhambra Golf Course.
Bill Corey, Life Member.
Francoto American Golf.
George Bedell, LA County Parks and Recreation, welcome to Mountain Meadows.
Gene Horry, the Lakewood Golf Course.
Steve Deal, Costa Mesa CC.
Mark Casalo, Costa Mesa Country Club.
Chuck Collins, Costa Mesa. Chris Lampa, Torrey Pines Golf Course.
Patrick Hall, Torrey Pines.
Justin Knight, Spanish Hills. Steve Parks, Spanish Hills Country Club.
John Kulo, Monterey Country Club.
Scott McCauley, Golf Lake, Pasadena.
Kenny Shiva, Industry Hills.
Phil Souls, What Fire Hall.
Greg Casagrande, The Hodges. Bob Evans, Miles Square Golf Course. John Cummings, Rancho La Quinta, and Lucia Country Club.
Jazz Orchestra, Buena Vista Golf Course. Alan Swanson, North Bend Golf Course.
Mike Fernando, Carmel Mountain Ranch.
Mike Oaks, Stadium Golf Center.
Mike Brown, Willow Lake.
Kyle Scobie, unaffiliated.
Jamie Backos, Rustic Canyon Golf Course. Rodney Scott, Rustic Canyon Golf Course.
Joe Groman, Navy Golf Course. Raj Samra, Friendly Hills Country Club.
Nikki Gash, PGA of America. Sandy Cross, PGA of America.
Scott Wellington, PGA of America.
Scott Ashworth, Four Seasons Resorts, Lanagi. John McNair, JC Resorts. Steve Shoemaker, LBR Golf Club.
Tony Latender, Professional Golfers Career College.
Zach Zumbo, the club at Morningside. Alexander Witt, Seven Lakes Golf Country Club.
Johnson, Eva Falls Golf Course. Dennis Foster, Ivy Ranch Country Club. David Foster, life member.
Cory Grillas, the Lakes Country Club. David Goldstein, Lakes Country Club. Eric Red Golf. Dan Morning, Next Belt, Don Martin Golf Supplies, and Nixon Keeley Eyewear.
And Sam Pietro, Seven Oaks Country Club.
Bill Holbert, PGA Tour Superstore, Irvine.
David Bronstein, Palma Valley Country Club.
Very addicted committed dudes.
Mike Valdez, San Luis Obispo Country Club.
Vic Laceris, Old Range Country Club.
Sharon Kirkman, Section Office.
Blair Harkins, Rolling Hills Country Club.
Danny Higgins, Goose Creek Golf Club.
Bobby Nickel, Roy Student Golf Club. Chief Choi, Monarch Beach Golf League. Rob Oosterhouse, Sherwood Country Club.
Mike Fergan, Mesa Verde Country Club.
Matt Regan, Folds of Honor Foundation. Jim Gormley, Palos Verdes Golf Club.
Randy Geeser, Sherwood Country Club.
Jeff Fowler, Sherwood Country Club.
Corey Scoggin, Farms Golf Club.
Evan Biudo, the Wealth Resort San Diego. Mike Brewer, Shady Canyon Golf Club.
Nicholas Gennady, Sherwood Country Club.
Sherry Herrera, Vista Greens.
Eric Evans, Royal Vista Golf Course.
Alan Shear, Steel Canyon Golf Club. Grant Strobel, Carmel Mountain Ranch. Bob D, Aviar Golf Academy.
Bruce Nakamura, Alviar Golf Academy.
Good morning, Johnny Walker, Aviar Golf Club.
Richie Valenzuela, Light Golf Course. Tim Peroon, Coronado Golf Course. Craig Kaminsky, Mount Meadows Golf Club.
Jim Swada, Hillcrest Country Club. Billy Garcia Curtoli from Industry Hills Golf Club. Allison Kirk, Wood Ranch Golf Club.
Dan Monday, Glen Oaks Golf and Learning Center.
Very beautiful honor on that.
Alcoholic, Mountain View Country Club. Dave Yupa, Industry Hills Golf Club.
Ross Marcano, Verona Creek Golf Club. Scott Wally, Rio Hondo Golf Course.
Ron Stahan, Hillcrest.
Ed Parker, Monarch East.
Ryan Scott, Coronado Golf Course.
Chris Brown, Coronado Golf Course. And Dan Anderson, Vintage Club.
Colin Tucker, Vintage Club.
Nick Foster, affiliated.
Matt Gray. Joey Glander, Club at Morningside.
Clayton Mouse, W Golf Club.
Rob Blackburn, Stone Eagle.
Melissa Stevens, Navy Golf Course.
Rich Ortega, Seacliff Country Club. Shane Conshock, Highway Golf Club.
Mike Mitchell, Highway Golf Club.
Zach Lord, Riviera.
Toby Todd, Dan Miller Golf Course, and this is Cameron Carr from Dan Miller Dan Golf Course, Los Angeles.
John Cooper, Golf in San Diego.
John Kennedy, Emerald Isle.
Chris Miller, Hillcrest Country Club.
Andy Lane, Hillcrest Country Club.
Chris Meyer, Friday Hill Golf Course.
Steve Dunner, University Golf Course.
Garrett Martins, Next Bell, Mount Meadows Golf Course.
Earl Gatherum, the Sinatra Resort and Country Club.
Billy Gatherum, Iron Country Club.
Sally Mahoney, O'Donnell Golf Club. Jane Rosenberg, Black Gold Golf Club.
Joe Riley, Black Gold Golf Club. Adam Moreno, Black Gold Golf Club. Mike Coleman, the Citrus Club.
Lee Coleman, unaffiliated.
Jeremy Clevenger, Palma Valley Country Club. Wayne Carroll, PGA America.
Kirk Manley, Shady King Golf Club.
Mark Williams, MG Country Development.
Derek Ronnie, Design.
Rick Andrews, Sterling Golf Course.
Randy Chang, Journey Photography.
Andy Baker, Black Gold Golf Club.
Michael Jones, City of San Diego.
Jim Rowland, Bellwall Park Golf Club.
Matt Hollis, Golf Tech Class Team.
Dave Millman, Golf Tech.
Paul Wise, Hillcrest Country Club.
Boris Pete, Annandale. Roman Gonzalez, TGR Learning Class.
Brad Swarman, Golf Club in Rancho, California.
I think we got everybody, or at least everybody that wants to be introduced. Thank you all for going through that. I know that it's always nice to kind of see who's here, who's in the room, see where everybody came from. Also helpful if you forget anybody's name, they reintroduce themselves, and also nice to hear that one club got an applause. And know that Mr. Carr has no voice today, so we'll go with sign language for you today. But thank you. With that, I'll pass the mic back to Mr. Kiefer and lower it.
Thank you, Robin. I'll add to the roll call, Todd Kiefer, the Wilshire Country Club. So I did that for this table over here because we've got a few of my members that we're going to be honoring a little bit later. Yesterday, the board met for a mere 5 hours to kind of discuss all the different activities going on in the section. I wanted to kind of recognize those folks. So if you hear your name, please just stand up and we'll give you a little round of applause. Vice President Tony Latendre, Secretary Robin Shelton, Honorary President John McNair, Independent Directors Allison Kurt and Susan Roll, Directors Rob Oosterhouse, Randy Chang, Joe Groman, Eric Lohman, Scott Hine, Derek Hardy, and our chapter representatives from the Desert Chapter, Mike Holick, from San Diego, Bill Gorey, from the Inland Empire, Mr. Steve Adamniak, from Metro, Vic Placeres, and from Northern, Mike Valdez. Let's give these guys and ladies a round. They really do put a lot of effort and energy into their roles, and I have to tell you that they really care. It was one of the interesting conversations yesterday we had, just a lot of discussion, a lot of care, and we really want to kind of carry that forward. We've had many presidents that talk about care and being relevant, and so we often bring those topics up, and it's a challenge to all of them, and there's a lot of exciting things that the committees are working on this year, and looking forward to some more reports in August. Our past presidents that we value greatly and get a lot of information from, please stand up and hear your name. Mr. Tom Sargent, Andy Tooney, Harry Dickey, David Foster, Bill Hulbert, Jeff Johnson, and Tom Addis. Did I miss any of the presidents? Thank you guys for your service. Coming up here shortly, we've got the 2017 PGA Professional Championships that are going to be taking place at Sun River Resort up in Oregon. And we want to recognize those that are best players among us. And We're going to have everybody kind of come up here for a little team photo. I'm going to read off the names. Our first one is actually trying to qualify for the U.S. Open this morning. So our 2014 overall champion, Michael Block, is not here. I don't believe he can't be in two places at the same time. So we'll give Michael a round of applause. If you hear your name, please come on up. We want to kind of send you off in style. Mr. Kenny Pigman, John Fiedler, Blair Harkins, Scott Hine, Steve Holmes, Andrew Larkin, and guys, you can just come on up, we'll take a picture. Mark Madsen, Bruce Nakamura, Alan Shear, Brian Smock, and Chad Sorensen. Yeah. You stand over here.
You want one of your phones? Yeah.
You got that spot.
Am I the only guy that represented the golf shoes?
Yes.
All right, Junko's gonna do one, and then I'm gonna do one.
1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2.
Okay, over here. One more. All right, right here. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
Yes, that's well-deserved. You guys will do great. We're rooting you on and can't wait to see how you do. Well, a gentleman who had some great success representing us back in Washington, D.C. at the KitchenAid Senior PGA Championship is here today. And not only a great guy and great competitor, you know, we had some honors matches earlier in December. I've never seen one of our gentlemen helping his playing partner during the round, during a match that was just impressive, as Captain McNair would say. But Gary Sawinski, will you come on up and be recognized for your great play at the KitchenAid Senior PGA Championship? Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, next up we've got our, you kind of heard them through being introduced today, but we're fortunate enough to have a number of people from our PGA headquarters. So Sandy Cross, our Director of Inclusion and Diversity, will be here giving us a little presentation on education a little bit later today. Also Mr. Scott Wellington, Director of Business Section Operations, will be here. We've got Scott Ashworth, our District 11 Director. So for those that may recall, District 11 is the Northern California, Southern California, and Aloha sections. And so Scott represents all of us back in the board, and he'll be giving us a little update, as well as Nikki, our Player Development Manager, and Ken Carroll, our Employment Consultant. Those folks are going to be up and giving some little updates on what's going on. So thank you all very much for making the trip and being here today. Before we get into my official report, I want to pay great thanks to the team here at Mountain Meadows. You know, we're just talking a little bit, you know, George Bedell is the Director of Golf of LA City Golf, and I think, you know, many of us did start off playing our golf at municipal golf courses, so it's a great honor to be able to come here and be with you, George, and the team. So I want to maybe bring up the team. We've got a little something here for you, but Brian Boda, Ken Blightley, Chef Vince Romo, and GM Josh McDonald. Guys, thanks very much for a great effort this morning. Thanks for hosting, and we appreciate your hospitality. right, so now we'll go ahead and get into the President's report. There's nothing too earth-shattering that's taking place at this point in the section. We've got a number of different reports we'll give you today, but we want to kind of highlight the various people that are important to us, and so we'll start off with Ms. Nikki Gatch with her update on player development.
Thank you, Todd. Good morning to everybody. It's great to see everybody, and great to be here at Mountain Meadows. Thank you for hosting us. Just a quick brief update on player development. We did host a section workshop in May at the section office. I know some of you attended. These section workshops are great. It's a great way to share some ideas, talk about how we can engage better with our customers, and certainly grow the game and grow your business. I just want to share Scott Marson. I don't know where you're sitting, Scott. But Scott came up to me this morning and said, hey, I've got to tell you, I had that great idea that you shared at the workshop. I put it into place and created this new program, and now they're sold out. So can't thank you enough, and thank the golf pro that shared that great idea. So wonderful to hear that. That just made my day, Scott. So thanks for sharing that. Some other things that we've been doing busy this year is doing some educational seminars and presentations with some of our allied associations. The Club Managers Association, Ken Farrell and I presented to them in January. California Golf Course Owners Association was up there last month in Northern California, and we'll do another one with Ken down this way in August. And then had an opportunity to participate in the TPC Head Golf Professional Summit in February. They were down in Carlsbad. So a lot of the head professionals from the TPC network were there. We had a great discussion on player development and similar to what we do in the section workshop. So that was great to be involved with that. Also very involved with PGA Junior League, as most of you know here in this room. I'd like to thank all of you that are participating as captains. I think you're having a wonderful time and seeing what a great benefit this great program shows. We're seeing great increase. Obviously, we've been growing this program tremendously over the last few years. Now we just hit 40,000 participants on Friday nationwide, so that's great. We had 36,000 last year, so we have reached our goal already for this year, and still with a couple more weeks of registration. Here in Southern California, I'm really proud of the fact that we surpassed our goal of a 25% increase, and we're over a 40% increase this year. And so I just want to thank all of you in this room and those captains that are in our section that aren't with us today for your participation, your support of this great program. And since we are in the Metro chapter, I've got to give big props to the Metro chapter because they saw a 50% increase from last year to this year. They went from 43 teams to 64. So thank you, Metro chapter. You guys are leaders in the clubhouse. Anyway, I hope all of you see the great benefit of PGA Junior League Golf, not only for your kids, but seeing your families get more involved at the golf course. I know we're seeing it. John and I are seeing this at Emerald Isle. We're seeing it firsthand. Parents are coming out to practice and play more. They're sticking around for, certainly to watch the matches and practice, and they're just getting engaged with their kids and creating that loyalty to you, the PGA professional, and to your facility. The one unique thing about PGA Junior League Golf, there's so many similarities to other team youth sports, but the captain or the coach is a true professional, unlike most youth sports where it's a parent volunteer. So I think that's something that really sets us apart, and take advantage of that and really create those relationships and that loyalty with not only these kids but all of their families. So again, thank you. Sincere appreciation to all of you for your support. Thanks for what you do every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. Thanks for all the work. I know the player development seminars that you've been running, and everybody is a resource. Nikki's great. Will come in and spend some time with your team. She spent time with, I think, many of us in the room, and it's great to have that resource for us, so thank you. Next up will be Mr. Ken Farrell. Talk to us a little bit about employment and just kind of what's happening with him on a national level. I should have given you a heads up. He knows he follows me. He does know that everywhere.
Thank you, Todd. Good morning, everyone. When Robin had everybody stand up and say their name and where they were from, I thought, oh my gosh, now I understand why we're going to have a 4-hour meeting today. But really, it's pretty fascinating, and it's a great thing to do for us. It's a great thing for me to hear all of the places and positions that you all have. I think the first thing I want to do is really thank all of you for everything that you do, because as I listen to the health of our association, the health of our section, the health of golf in our section, it's because of everything that you do every day, and you should be thankful for that. You work hard, you grow the game, you do a lot of great things for us, and employment is really, truly because of you. You're the one that's driving the economy, driving the revenue, and as a result, driving the jobs. So we appreciate you doing that, and all of your efforts for sure. I got just a couple of short things here for you, and the first thing is, and you'll always hear me say this, one of the concerns that I have is when I work with employers on a continual basis and I'm helping them fill a new position, I always ask them, what are the great things you had out of your last golf professional, and maybe what are some of the things that you would like to see new and maybe potentially change. And it's always interesting for me to hear from them. In a lot of cases, they say, well, we really weren't concerned or didn't have any big concerns about what we were doing with our last golf professional. I said, then why did you make a change? And a lot of times they'll say, well, the problem is we just weren't making a change. We were stagnant, we were doing the same things over and over and over. And so I caution all of us that we need to continually be looking for new ideas of why maybe somebody like Nikki is so important, because she can come to your facility and help you take a look at your facility, see what you're doing for continual growth and continual change. And I'll give you a tip in the interview room. If you're ever asked, where should you be on Saturday morning? The answer is the first tee. That question is always asked, especially at the private clubs. That's really, truly where your club wants to see you, is on the first tee. Not necessarily giving lessons unless you're a golf instructor. They want to see you out there with the membership and accessible daily. So with that, just as far as employment is concerned, we have about 90 people on average that typically are on the unemployed list out of about 1,300 members. I think it works out this month to be, or this quarter, about 2.3%, which is below national average. It's always very low. Of those 90 people, 50 of them are actually active, so technically it's really 50 that potentially are searching for jobs out there. And that's a very low percentage, and we continue to stay there. We've stayed there since, of course, 2009. But that's one of the reasons I like to listen to all of you as I'm going around the room, listening to not only the positions that I know you used to hold, but also the new positions that you're in as well as have been a part of working with you on your resumes or part of your employment documents or potential interview possibilities so that you can further your career, as well as position your career for the future. The greatest time to be looking for a job is when you have a job, not when you're unemployed. So keep that in mind. A couple of other thoughts here with regards to compensation. We're in a time right now where most everybody is employed, and there's a lot of jobs out there, a lot of jobs that are available. But the one thing that we're always looking for is improving our position and increasing our compensation. So to be able to do that, just a couple of things that I always hear employers say that I'd like to share with you. The first is you have to be a part of revenue generation. And you may say, well, I'm a private equity club and we really don't push revenue generation. But you know what the lifeblood of a private equity club is, and that's membership. So the golf professional, to me, the golf professional probably is the most important person to drive membership, to retain members, and also to bring new members in as well. So that's the reason committees always say, we want you on the first tee with our members. That's the first and most important thing for us. So keep that in mind. Your compensation also is going to be dictated by the amount of revenue that a facility brings in. And typically that can be somewhere between 2 and 4%. So for example, if a $3 million facility is probably their management position for golf specific, that position is probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $60,000 to $75,000. That's why when I worked with American Golf for several years, I always strove to move up to the next level of their club. So if I was at a $2 million facility, I tried to move to a $3.5 million facility. Do a great job there to move up to a $5 million facility. Fortunately, at one point I was able to work at a $7 million facility. They just didn't quite get the 2 to 4% in that case, unfortunately. But that's kind of why wages are the way that they're at. It's all really truly based upon the amount of revenue, the amount of success that the club has. The thing is, you need to be the center of that success. So keep that in mind. We have more tools and resources on pga.org for you than you can imagine. Every day we're working them and reworking them, and so a couple of ones that you know, you have the executive summary is a communication tool for you to really state what is going on in your department, as well as communicating with your manager or your owner on your accomplishments. And keep in mind too that you have a staff in many cases underneath you that are trying to do the same thing. If you're a head professional and you have a first assistant, the goal of that first assistant most likely is a head professional position. I always felt a responsibility to them, if they were working very hard for me, that I wanted to elevate them to those positions. That's why when a committee, another question that they ask is, have you had people underneath you go on to become general managers, head golf professionals? That shows leadership qualities, and those are the things that they want to hear as well. So another question to be ready for, by the way. Performance evaluations, generally at the end of the year, you usually have 2 of them, but keep in mind one thing, that at the end of the year, your performance evaluation probably ties to your compensation. You have the compensation survey at your disposal to use. And then the other thing too is that executive summary you should be doing monthly and communicating with your employer. And you're really setting those up for your performance evaluation to state your accomplishments at the end of the year. So if I have somebody like John McNair, a president of a golf company, John, how much would you appreciate me coming up to you all the time and saying, John, this is exactly what's going on in my department. This is what we accomplished. These are the things maybe we didn't, but here's the reasons why. And this is what we're doing about them. That's valuable to an employer, and that's truly what they want from you. The new compensation survey, the 2017 compensation survey, just went live last Monday. So those results are available for you. That's a tool for you, a powerful tool for you to use for your evaluations, to use for hiring people, for negotiating your wage. If you're in that situation where you're going to do that, reach out to me. I'll help you. I do that all the time with people. We talk through what your approach to your employers would be. We just had a 60% participation, which is about average for the country. We're pretty close. And it was about the same participation as we had last year. Fortunately, we're a big section, and as a result, we usually get some pretty good results out of that 60%. But Scott Ashworth is in Hawaii. When we get 60% out of a small section of 220 people, unfortunately, that's just not enough to get some useful information. So with a large section, 60%, thank you to all of you for participating on that. That was very important. Finishing up with jobs, we posted about 18 management jobs this year. That's average for Southern California at this time. We're going into a hiring, kind of a hiring season where people will be gearing up for positions in the desert. They always do it in the summertime, getting ready for October, November hires, things like that. So we'll probably start to see a lot of activity out in the desert. Keep in mind that you get your career links notifications, management positions sent to you via your profile. We have about 70% of you that participate in career links saying, I want to receive employment postings. So if you're not getting employment postings, or you feel like you're not getting enough employment postings, reach out to me. I'll help you with your profile so that you maximize those opportunities. I'm going to finish up with our relationship with a company called Colt McKenzie McNair. They are actually headquartered, their main headquarters are out of London, and the PGA has built a relationship with them. They are an international recruiting firm. And the reason is there's a lot of opportunities for employment for PGA professionals we have about 130 unaffiliated PGA members, meaning that they are abroad, they are working abroad in countries all over the world. Interestingly enough, we posted some fascinating jobs out there. There's some great jobs. And I currently have jobs posted in China, Greece, Mexico, Panama, El Salvador, Korea. I just posted one in Singapore. If you aren't getting those positions and you're interested in working abroad, you have a lot of questions, and the questions include things like, what's the culture like there? What is the value of their money there? For example, we posted a position for $40,000 for a head professional position, and people said, I'm not going to move to Mexico for that. Well, as it turned out, $40,000 in that particular area of Mexico, it was a Jack Nicklaus private club, was a pretty good wage down there. But to really understand that, you can either reach out directly to Colt McKenzie McNair, they're great about getting back to people directly, or you can go on to PGA.org, click on employment, and take a look at international information, because we put together on PGA.org information for you about things like, is it safe? What are the schools like? Are there other people down there that you can communicate with? For example, I got offered a position in Vietnam one time, and I thought, what's it like working there? It looked attractive to me. So I reached out to a couple of golf professionals, PGA professionals in Vietnam, and I said, what's the environment like? As it turned out, they said, I'm not sure I'll ever come back to America. We're pretty spoiled here. We have it pretty good here. They happen to be single. I happen to have 2 kids, and it wasn't the right situation for me at the time. But certainly answers like that are out there for you. So in order to get those postings, this is what you need to do. You need to go into your Careerlinks profile. First thing is you need to participate in it. The second thing is you need to click on the countries that you're interested in. And then the third thing I would suggest is that you click on the languages that you speak. And right now it's set up, are you fluent in Spanish, for example? I don't know how many people are truly fluent in Spanish, but if you do speak Spanish, if you have a fair understanding of Spanish, click on it anyway, although you may not be fluent in it. And the reason is because, one, we want you to get the posting. The second thing is we want you the opportunity. And in a lot of cases, there's interpreters in different countries for you. You get support in that area too. I'll finish full circle coming back and saying thanks for everything that you do, all of your hard work, and it's my privilege to serve you in employment.
Ken, thank you very much for all your advocacy. I know you're a great resource, and hopefully everybody takes advantage of all the talent and skill that Ken has. Well, a return trip apparently is our next speaker, Mr. Scott Wellington. Many of you may have remembered Scott from his time here in the section in the early 90s, 1990 to 95, I believe. And Scott's going to come up and just share a few words on what's going on here at the National level.
Good morning, everybody. It is truly a welcome home, I think, for me, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I left this section 22 years ago, 1995. Started, as Todd said, 1990, and it's great to. We had dinner last night with some familiar faces from the good old days, and going around the room this morning, I heard some others. So it's a thrill for me to. This is my first meeting back since joining the PGA of America back in October of last year. So it's an honor to be back in this section. It really is. The first 5 years really of my career in golf started here, working in the section office, working on, as some of you remember, whether it be sponsorship generation or tournament programs. We had a consumer golf show back then. But again, I really learned the core of what I eventually did, leaving here and then becoming executive director for 10 years in Colorado, before leaving and going to Bay Hill and spending the last 12 years working with Arnold Palmer down there. So it's great to be back in the PGA of America, working with golf professionals on a daily basis. And in my role now, as Senior Director of Section Business Operations, really working in partnership with our 41 sections around the country. The leadership, obviously here with Tom and his team, but in my role, really working with the other 40 executive directors around the country on a daily basis, and their staffs, and building a team at headquarters to really collaborate, support, again in partnership with all of our 41 sections to really help them operate their business as effectively as they can. Understanding that this section, again, being so unique and different with size, and when you look at other sections across the country, and even talking to Scott, and I just spent a few days last week with our friends in Aloha, that the challenges, the unique differences with size and geography that when you look across the landscape of the country, and how business is operated at the section level and then down to your level at the facilities, there are unique challenges there. And we understand that, and really, I think my role in trying to build a team that can, again, customize that kind of support and scale it out to our 41 sections around the country is something that it's challenging, but it's a unique opportunity that I feel like I'm perfectly, hopefully qualified to do. So, again, I look forward to coming back and giving you updates. Again, I've been on the job 8 months. We're building out a team. We're building out a plan. What used to be section affairs, as you may recall, years ago, has now evolved, as I mentioned, into section business operations. And we hope that we're going to be successful, again, in partnering with all of our sections and delivering the value to service you as members and continue to grow the game. So, again, thank you for having me this morning. It's an honor to be back here, it really is. And have a great day. Thanks.
Thanks, Scott. Looking forward to spending more time with you when you make your way around. And thanks very much for picking up the tab last night for dinner. That was outstanding. Try.
Anytime.
That was the first thing that Mr. Addis said. Make sure he pays. Our next speaker is going to be the Director of Golf from the Four Seasons of Lanai, also known as our District 11 Director, Scott Ashworth. Scott's become a great friend and works very hard for all of us throughout his time there at the national office or at the Board of Directors, and makes his way around. So, Scott, thanks very much for being here.
Well, aloha and good morning, everybody. It's certainly an honor for me to be here. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Lanai. I've ever been to Lanai. I know Ryan Kennedy over there, and certainly Ronnie Castillo from Hawaii. A little bit about Lanai, if you're not familiar with it. It's an island of 3,000 residents. We have no four-way stops, no stoplights. About 30 miles of paved road, and the fastest speed limit you can go is about 35 miles an hour. So driving from LAX to Ontario yesterday was 60 miles, and I was doing 75 and getting past like I was not moving at all. It was a little bit of a culture shock for me, but it's certainly great to be back here. I just thought I'd give you a couple of brief updates. Certainly my role as the District 11 Director on the board is to represent the PGA of America and our interests in what we're doing on the board, but also to communicate with the sections, and also to listen to the sections and the concerns the sections have. And certainly, as you all know, you have a very strong leadership here. And what I appreciate is the leadership here is certainly not afraid to let me know what their concerns are in a very respectful way. But I appreciate their feedback, and certainly we have a very strong district, and you should all be very proud of your leaders here and the job they do. So thank you. I just thought I'd give you a couple of quick updates from our spring planning session that we had. And I think what I took from the spring planning session is really what great strong leadership we have at the national level. I'll give you a couple of quick updates. Obviously, John Easterbrook was named our Chief Membership Officer, which some of you may recognize the name John Easterbrook from Troon Golf, who's a PGA member, and it's great to have a PGA member really sitting at the senior leadership level. So, and certainly with Scott Wellington, we're excited, to have Scott on board as well. Scott Kimmick, who's our new Senior Director of Employment, really great. I think there's some nice changes coming in employment. He really stressed the importance of increased support at the local level, which is great to hear. Certainly Ken doing an amazing job. Being better partners to employers and focusing not only on filling job positions, but more broadly supporting career development. So not just putting people in jobs, but really supporting career development for all of our members. Ryan Cannon, who is our new Senior Director of PGA Reach, which hopefully everybody knows is our charitable foundation for the PGA. And again, the mission of PGA Reach is to positively impact the lives of youth, military, and diverse populations by enabling access to PGA professionals, PGA sections, and the game of golf. And I think hopefully everybody again knows our 3 pillars of youth, which again the main focus being PGA Junior Golf League, which I know you all know Nikki has done an amazing job. And Nikki supports, by the way, not only the Southern California section, but she's been a huge asset to Wes in the Aloha section as well, so we thank her. Military, through PGA Hope, helping our Patriots everywhere, and then certainly diversity and inclusion with PGA Works. And you're all going to hear a great presentation by Sandy today, who really did an amazing job in her presentation to the board as well. Dawes Marlett, who's a Senior Director of Education. I'm really excited about a lot of the education things we're doing. If you haven't been to PGA.org recently, I encourage you to do so. There's really some great team-based simulations out there, real life simulations that I think are going to be really great moving forward. There's some really great courses on revenue management. There's 5 courses that you can go through. So again, some really great things happening on the education front as well. And then many of you know the name Kerry Haig, who is our Chief Championships Officer. He does an amazing job. He's obviously very well respected in the industry, and did an amazing job with the Ryder Cup. I don't know how many of you actually watched the Ryder Cup. I know Todd probably doesn't want me to tell you too many stories, but I learned a very valuable lesson at the Ryder Cup and about social media. One of the great things we get to do as the board of directors is we actually get to be like a walking kind of observer for the matches. So I was fortunate, I got to on Saturday be one of the observers for Patrick Reed and Jordan Spieth against Rafa and Sergio. Great match. Get to the 14th hole and Patrick and Jordan are just drumming them to 4 up with 5 left. So okay, great. Pull out my camera, post my view, take a great picture and say my view from the 14th hole at the Ryder Cup, getting ready to watch Jordan and Patrick close them out. Great. I don't know if you remember this match, but all of a sudden, Sergio and Rafa win 14. Then they win 15. Somebody chips in on 16. All of a sudden, I'm frantically trying to take my post off as fast as I can. We lose 17. Now we're all square going to 18. And Patrick made an amazing 10-foot putt just to tie the match on the 18th hole. So be careful what you put on social media. I was afraid I was actually going to lose the Ryder Cup, the USA. So, and then obviously we have a great championship coming up here in North Carolina at Quail Hollow that I know we're all looking forward to as well. So a lot of great stuff going on. And certainly, like I said earlier, I'm here to hear, certainly to communicate with you, but also to hear any questions and concerns you may have from the national level. So I look forward to hopefully meeting as many of you as I can today and in the future. And please reach out to me anytime I can assist you with anything. Thank you, and aloha.
It's a time of a long drive award between Scott and Sandy, I think, today. But Scott, we appreciate you being here, and thanks very much for making, taking our interests and sharing them at the national level, and being such a great communicator, all of us, so appreciate it. The next gentleman I'd like to bring up would be Matt Regan. Matt is the Vice President of PGA Relations for the Folds of Honor. And for many of you, I think you've been able to play in our events at Toscana over the last number of years. You've done a great job with raising money, and I think many of you are familiar with the Folds of Honor. But Matt, we have a special presentation, I believe, so if you can come on up, we'll do this.
Appreciate it. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for inviting me. I just joined the Folds less than a couple of months ago. My business, I worked for a large golf manufacturer in Carlsbad for years. I'm very honored to be working for such a great group of people. I'd never met Bill before, but he invited me to play in the event in Toscana. Just a quick, brief story. I've got to bust his chops here a little bit. So, both being from Northeast Ohio, which we realized, sitting there on the first tee, I'm like, hey, Bill, have you guys ever placed in this tournament? He's like, I've never placed in my own damn tournament. I'm like, okay. So we're on the practice range. I'm fighting it awful, two-way miss with the driver. You just can't play golf that way. So Bill gets up there, he gives me a quick little lesson, working on it. We get out on the course, and first 4 holes I've already burned through like 4 brand new Pro Vs, right? Flashing one right, flashing one left. One of your brethren yells out at me for a couple of fairways over. He goes, Matty, how was that free lesson? I go, most expensive damn lesson of my life. So, anyways, but I will say this. Thank you very much. I already dropped my index about 1.5 points, and did win a Torrey Pines Minutes Club event. So, thank you very much. I appreciate it. We're going to get into this presentation real quick. Patriots like Bill, but I wanted to really just take a minute to thank everybody here. Thanks to the PGA of America. Folds of Honor started 10 years ago. Major Dan Rooney is the only F-16 fighter pilot who's also a PGA professional. I like to call him a little bald unicorn, but just a great guy. He started Patriot Golf events 10 years ago, and with your help, we've already raised 13,000 scholarships for dependents of our military across the country. There's still a great need out there, however. There are 1.1 million eligible dependents of our military, and the United States government currently only provides help for about 10% of those. So the need is still great, and we need your help. With charity or philanthropy, it's really got to touch it. It's got to touch your heartstrings. Now, I'm not a member of the PGA. I haven't been honored to serve in the military, but I am a parent. I've got a 17-year-old daughter and a 15-year-old son. I travel all across the country, and I'll go for a week, 2 weeks at a time, and I know the burden that puts on my family. Well, here you have our members of the military that are in deployments for 6 months. They don't do 1 deployment, they do 2, they do 4, they do 6. And it's not like going to golf clubs across America. These guys are going, these men and women are going out to places where they may not come back. And a lot of them don't come back. And some that do come back need our help. How does it connect? On another level, I live in San Diego, I live in Carlsbad, and I drive up and down through Pendleton all the time and meet members of the military, and always think, what can I do, right? We're busy, we're all busy in our lives, we got our membership, we got our golf tournaments. The great thing about being a member of the PGA and associated with the Folds of Honor is we can help just by doing what we do every day in our lives, being involved with this great game of golf, doing something, putting on a putting contest, pass the hat in a membership committee. Anything helps. Anything helps. So, with everything that's going on in the world right now, brings me back to a time in September, 16 years ago. I think we all remember where we were on that day, and just that feeling of being unsafe, right? You hear about what's going on in Europe all the time, currently, and we've got our members of our military that are out there on the front lines fighting that fight for us to keep our country safe, to keep us safe, to keep our children safe. So when we go to a sporting event, we're not looking over our shoulder. We don't have that feeling of anxiety. So again, want to thank you very much for your help, and one of our great patriots here in this section, Mr. Holbert, has done some special things for the Folds of Honor. We just wanted to recognize him today.
Wow, that's unexpected. I'm a little bit embarrassed by it, but it's not about me. It's about the children of veterans who were killed or disabled while serving our country. About 6 years ago, a couple people from Folds of Honor came out to a meeting just like this in San Diego to speak. One of them was Ginger Gilbert. She played a video about her husband, who was a fighter pilot who was shot down and killed. Major Ed Polito was the second. He's the vice president of Folds of Honor. He lost a leg in serving our country, and I had an idea at that time to let's do something. Let's do a program to benefit Folds of Honor, and Jason Taylor was the president of the section at that time. He said, hey, go for it, but get yourself a committee together and do the work and make it happen. And we just concluded our 6th Patriot Pro-Am last month at Toscana Country Club. Paul Levy generously donated Toscana for us to use, and we've raised well over $100,000. Certainly not as much as we hope. We hope to continue to grow this event. We're working on sponsorships, but it's probably the most gratifying thing that I've ever done as a PJ professional, to be involved with Matt and with the Folds and to raise money for people like our speaker that we had at this year's event, who's a young man whose father was disabled. He was exposed to nerve gas in Afghanistan. And through the Folds, he got some scholarship money, and he's now decided that he wants to be a doctor to be able to help people like his father. So that's what this is all about. It's not about me, and I certainly appreciate that, because you know, I've been trying to win that trophy. We actually get these statues, these wonderful statues, and give them away to the first place team. And we were one stroke back, I think, this year. But this, of the awards that I've won as a PJ member, this means more to me than anything that I've received. And I thank you very much. But I thank you guys very much. But I also would encourage you that when the entry form comes out for the Patriot Pro next year, you take a hard look at it. There's no charge for the golf professionals. We ask you to bring 3 members, bring 3 vets from your club, and they'll be blown away, because you also play with a 5th person who's in active military. And the cause is beyond belief. The speakers, the people, once you bring people, you'll want to come back. So thank you again for this. It means a lot.
Matt, thank you, and Bill, again, congratulations. For those that have played, how many have played in the event so far? It's certainly one not to miss. I would like to maybe recognize any veterans that we have here today. If you just stand up if you've served our country. Do we have any veterans in the room? We got a few. Very, very special. I think the best part is, too, when you're playing with the active duty guys, those guys really enjoy it. They really appreciate the attention. They're not looking for it, but they certainly do appreciate it. So thanks, everybody. Next, I'd like to bring up Junko Suzuki to kind of help out with this next presentation. You know, where I work, we're close to USC, and a number of people feel like that's where champions are. And I want to tell you that Southern California is a place where champions are. We have 3 national champions here with us today, and I'm very, very proud to have. We're going to show a little video here just for in a second, but I want to bring Junko up to kind of say thank you. Junko was able to represent us this year down in Augusta, Georgia, for the finals, and this is a little bit of what took place during that week.
give us another shot. Kim Bradley, everybody. Help us out.
3 years ago, Drive, Chip, and Pipe started as a program to develop the game. It still is. But just look what has developed.
It just amazes me the poise that these young people have, you know, to be able to perform in front of their family and their friends and champions and be part of this day. It's very, very special.
They arrived in Augusta bright-eyed and smiling.
Love that smile.
The product of 268 local competitions in all 50 states and Canada. 40 boys and 40 girls, ages 7 to 15, with the opportunity of a lifetime.
Well, my young friends, I hope you know that today and tomorrow you are the envy of all golfers around the world.
It all started Saturday night with a welcome dinner and a different kind of opportunity. The chance to mingle and meet an extraordinary collection of men and women.
Great way for young boys and girls to aspirationally see a 7-year-old at Augusta National. I think that's what's really great about it.
We've got 80 junior participants that are really the future of golf. So they're becoming role models for thousands and thousands of junior golfers all over the world.
Sunday indeed turned out to be the stuff of dreams. Hardly just another day.
To go up today and see the kids, the excitement on their faces. I don't suppose many of them had a good night's sleep last night, you know, it'd be like getting ready for Christmas.
Under the watchful eye of their heroes.
Good to see you, congrats on getting here.
They might have surprised many, but probably not themselves. The level of skill was stunning and precocious.
Wow, that's a chance.
Yes.
How about that?
The day was about joy and friendship and the thrill of a lifetime. To putt on that famous green. To see your name on that famous board. Or just to share the day with the people who made it all possible. This was a day about golf, the future, and so much more.
Yeah, big round of applause. So we'll bring up our champions and we'll do a big team photo, but in the girls 10 to 11 out of the Grand, Miss Lucy Wan, come on up. Playing out of Canyon Crest, Mr. Liam Hartling. Congratulations. Our boys 10 through 11 champion. And playing out of the Wilshire Country Club, boys 7 through 9 champion, Mr. Carter Gady. So got to see some of the trophies that they had, and then again, congratulations to the parents. You know, Brian Gates, our member of Wilshire, and it was pretty interesting to get the experiences even from a dad and a parent going through this process. It is a family event. They do allow, you know, one person, one parent with the child, and you know, just kind of some great family experiences. I know at Wilshire it's been a great experience to be able to celebrate our champion there with Carter. And just to encourage you, again, as you've got juniors that are out there and have an interest in participating, this is a great way to develop some camaraderie and develop a great new line of champions. So we're awfully proud of Carter and Liam and Lucy. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for the families that are able to attend too. So appreciate your time. I'm going to provide you a conspicuous getaway. At this time, we're going to do a vice president's report, which would be a great time to allow you to, you're welcome to stay, but if you want to hang in there and listen to Mr. Latendre give the financial report, you're welcome to. Otherwise, I got you out of school, guys. At least some of you, I got you out of school today, so.
Thank you very much.
I'm a little hurt you guys don't want to stay. Could I leave, Mr. President? Congratulations to you all. That's awesome. We're very proud of you as a section. So a nice round of applause for those guys again as they make their way out. Well, nobody wants to listen to the financial report, so I won't keep you here for very long. But luckily, the picture is very good for our section. You know, overall, we're doing very well as a section. Through the first quarter, our numbers are very good. Our balance sheet is up $900,000 compared to last year. It's largely in part to our investment. Actually, it's mostly in part to our investment portfolio performing so well. If you look at our combined statement of activities, we are $300,000 ahead of plan. Last year we were $250,000 ahead of plan. So we're on track as to where we expect to be and where we'd like to be for the year. So everything is really good. I want you to know that our officers, we do look at the financials every month. The budget committee that we've put together does look at the financials monthly. I mean, not quarterly, I apologize, but we do look at them monthly as an officer group, to make sure everything is in line with what we're after. We made a little bit of a change for 2017, and in the interest of full disclosure and clarity of what we're doing at the section level, we've put the budget committee together with vice presidents from each section. So the vice president is responsible for the financials for each chapter. I'm sorry, I misspoke, for each chapter. So we've put the committee together with representatives from each chapter. The vice presidents of each chapter do serve on the budget committee this year, so that's something that we've done that's a little bit different. But we want to make sure that everybody sees what's going on, and we keep communication going out to the chapter level so everybody sees what's happening at the section level. On to our investment portfolio. It's another good story. I'm happy to report. It's easy to stand here when things are good. I can tell you specifically, April, everything was up. So it's always easy to say our investment's performing well when everything's up. I hope I get to stand here for the rest of my 2-year term and say the same thing, and then let it be Robin's problem if there's an issue. But our portfolio is valued at over $10 million right now, and that's despite the fact that we are still taking 4% to run section programs like player development and some meetings and things like that. So, we do take 4% off of that money every year to run our section programs, and the investment portfolio is still over $10 million. So, very good story there. For those of you that don't know, Canterbury Consulting has managed our portfolio for a number of years now. We've actually changed the position that they have and given them a little bit more of an active role in, actually we've given them pretty much the reins to run our investment. And that lets us take advantage of opportunities that maybe we weren't able to take advantage of in the past. For instance, we see a slight downturn in the market or something like that, we would call a committee meeting, the committee would get together, we'd make a decision, and oftentimes it was a little too late to really capitalize on something and make the most out of it. So what we've done is we've let Canterbury really take the reins and manage our portfolio for us. One of the things that they have done, Jason Levy and the crew there, they have really diversified our portfolio. With many, many years of positive growth, there's always that concern that, hey, there might be a as Jason calls it, a market correction. So we're very cautious of that. Because of that, we keep a very close eye, or they keep a very close eye on things, and we've really diversified our portfolio to protect us in that event. Should we see a little bit of a downturn or maybe an area of the market that's not performing as well as we'd like, they're able to make those changes right up to the minute and protect us in that regard. So again, the picture is good. We're very happy to have them on board. We're very happy with their performance and what they've done for us. So barring anything else, we intend to keep that relationship going. We do have an investment committee that does keep a handle on things. We meet quarterly, go through the financials with Jason and the folks at Canterbury, and make sure that everything is performing the way we'd like it to. So we aren't totally giving them up all control, but we've given them enough control that, again, like I said, they're able to make changes as they see fit in order to protect us, and they've done a great job of growing our money for us, so we'd like to keep them doing that. So barring any questions, Mr. President, any questions about whether our budget situation or investment portfolio, I'm happy to entertain those. But seeing none, that will conclude my report.
Next up will be our secretary, Mr. Robin Shelton, to give a membership report.
So I've been kind of in the back of the room just watching and listening, and when I started today, I kind of did the approval of the minutes, and I was noticing that if at any point, if anybody misses anything, Joe Groman is always standing up taking a photo. So if you miss anything, you can go on Joe Groman's Facebook. I don't know if I can see Joe, right? Oh, there's Joe. So if you miss anything, if you got to step out, you can go on Joe Groman's Facebook afterwards today, or maybe we'll approve Joe's Facebook post next week instead of the, or next meeting instead of the minutes. All right, so my report is basically going to do some recognition. So we're going to recognize some of the new members, new apprentices, and quarter-century members. So first off, we're going to start with the new members that are in attendance. So all of your name is called. If you could please stand up. I'd just like to recognize our new members since our last meeting. So Thomas Che, you in the building? Could go quick. Nigel Felison. Awesome. Cody Frank. Good to see you're getting engaged right as you join and get your membership. David Goldstein. Yeah. I'm going to go with that awkward moment and just ask you to stand through the whole thing. So, Zachary Grayson. Good. Brian Hughes. I'm going to butcher this. Daniel Encio. Christopher Jones. I'll explain that later. Leona Kim. All right, so Goldstein, you're still doing pretty good. Song J.O. Elias Morellis. All right, at the same table. Andrew Vosberg, you're probably here. No. Yeong Jun Yang. All right, so here we have it, our two champion studs of the new PJ member class. If you're looking for people to hire or play golf with, clearly they are dedicated and committed. So, gentlemen, thank you for being here, and congratulations to both of you on your recent membership. Then let's go to the new apprentices that are here. So I will just call you quickly here. No need to stand up one by one. Hopefully we have some new apprentices that are here. We can just recognize you. But please hold your applause all till the end. So Dennis Bowman, Justin Brown, Joseph Carelli, Philip Sean, Kevin Cole, Amberlyn Dorsey, Jason Dudley, Dan Earhart, Ryan Flores, Dennis Furlong, Ethan Gilchrist. Nobody stood up yet. Matthew Grace, Paul Grisham, Alex Schroe, James Hawley, Arnold Herb, John Hustleby, Sean Nicola, Blake Lampin, Timothy Medina, Gregory Ochoa, and Adam Osser. Anybody? All right, we got some apprentice work to do.
I used to have
Sean Rivera, Cody Rose, Jay Wan Shin, Stephen Shoemaker, Jonathan Soto, Ryan Turner, and Victor Valenzuela. Please tell me one of you is here.
right here.
Yes. Apparently I didn't follow the directions closely enough. You can stay standing. I think you may not be the only one now. Jamie Backos. Yeah, there we go. Let's face it. David Brownstein from Palma Valley Country Club. Michael Brown. Yeah, stay standing. Sorry. Yeah, I'm that guy. Matt Johnson. Alexander Wiz. Yeah. Zach Ziembo. And Jackie Kazarian. Welcome to all the future mover and shakers of the PGA of Southern California. Congratulations and welcome. I'm looking forward to some awesome things in the future from all of you. I just dropped the recorder that's keeping track of the minutes, so we may actually seriously have to use Joe Groman's Facebook. And last recognition is our quarter century members. So our quarter century members who have been here now been a part of PGA America for over 25 years. So pretty big deal. I know we do have some of those in attendance. Rick Danruther, I know I saw you somewhere. Rick Danruther? Hey. Congratulations, Mr. Danruther, on 25 years of quarter century and PGA membership. Congratulations. Steve Egbert. Michael Fergan, I saw you somewhere. Congratulations, Mr. Fergan. John Fiedler. I know Mr. Fiedler is a big deal, but we will hold our applause to the end. But if you could stand, Mr. Fiedler. I know you got to save your energy for later on this afternoon. There's only so much in that tank. Paul Goidos. Any chance Paul Goidos is here? No? I'm not sure how we missed this. Jeff Hart. Jeff Johnson, you're here. Somewhere. Dave Potus. Mark Priester. Oh, there's Jeff Johnson, 25 years, congratulations. You look younger. There's more than one Jeff Johnson? That doesn't seem like that'd be a common name. Jane Rosenberg. James Spadoni. Rosetta? Oh. Stay standing. Nice tie, by the way. Very fashionable, very trendy. Sorry I missed you there. We did say James Spadoni. I don't think he's here. James Swaggerty. Negative there. Roger Teal from Laguna Woods. Greg Van Anna. Did I see Greg? I thought I did. No? And then lastly, Daniel Yenny. So if your name was called, you could again just stand up real quick. 25 years as a PJ member. Big deal, so congratulations. And with that, we'll send it back to President Kiefer. I was given a gift of garlic bread, so if anybody's hungry and didn't get enough breakfast, come to the table up front.
Should have started you off at the entertainment side of this. This is perfect. Robin, thanks for the report, and congratulations to all of you for being here. We tried this the last couple meetings in terms of with our apprentices. We're really glad that you're here, and hopefully you'll encourage others to attend. And hopefully the rest of us PGA members, we can give an apprentice a day off and maybe bring them to a meeting that'll kind of help them get introduced and make a lot more new friends as well. So thanks very much for being here. Next up, we have our Executive Director of the Southern California PGA, Mr. Tom Addis.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. It's nice to be here, and thanks for attending this meeting here at Mountain Meadows and in the Metro chapter. And it's going to be a great day for you, those of you who are playing golf out here today. A couple things that I have. First of all, at your tables, you'll see a stack of cards that it's titled Clubs for You. This is our new program through our Southern California PGA Foundation, where we are collecting funds to distribute sets of golf clubs to high school girls on high school golf teams. This is an initiative that was founded by our foundation board of directors and a focus for the next couple of years. Our first distribution will be at least 200 sets over the next year. We have a commitment from Wilson Sporting Goods to help us with this program with the Ultra set of clubs. It's a 10-piece set. We've already identified over 200 high schools mostly in the Metro and Inland Empire. We will expand farther into both CIF, or all the CIF districts, and most notably a little bit over 100 that we know right now that need sets of clubs. And we'll start this summer right prior to the start of the season, the golf season for girls, with distribution. Brendan Steele, who represents Wilson and is also an alumni of the Southern California PGA Junior Tour, will serve as our spokesperson to get the program off the ground, and we're excited about Brendan's participation as well. So it's a program that we would like your support. If you would take a stack of these cards back to your clubs and your facilities and distribute those, we'd really appreciate it. There'll be more information coming out. It's on scpga.com and scpga.org. We have a new .org website as well that will help coordinate activities through our foundation. And we are asking for donations. We've collected in the neighborhood of nearly $30,000 at this point through our Foundation Classic, for example, at Riviera this past February. That's a big part of allowing us to get started with this great program. We will expand it farther into the CIF. As I said, we'll initiate with the girls teams and the girls who need clubs on those teams into the boys, and then our plan is to even go farther than that into various community activities and so on. So it's really a great program called Clubs for Youth, and we'd love your support and love your support of your facilities to help us push this program out to young people who need the equipment. We hope by providing this equipment that will help retain these young people at least through high school and give them the impetus and the interest to carry forward and the motivation to carry forward to stay with golf the rest of their lives, and we hope we can be a part of that. So thank you for your participation and helping us out there. A couple of other things. We have a slide. We'd like to remind you about the Fashion and Demo experience in Las Vegas in August. That's a very, very nice program. It's formerly the West Coast Merchandise Show that some of you will know, and of course the Fall Expo. Now it's combined with a couple of other shows in Las Vegas to make the experience, make it more of an experience for Fashion and Demo, and we encourage you. We usually have a decent turnout from section members over there, and we encourage you again to register and participate in August in Las Vegas at that show. The other thing that's important and which will benefit our foundation is our Champions Cup Pro-Am with the Power Shares Triple Q Championship. And you'll see that Alex Mallon, yeah, she's outside, she's waving. Alex, and some of you already talked with Alex this morning, please make it a point to see her. This is a program that we're privileged to conduct at Sherwood Country Club with the Power Shares Championship. And a little bit different with the Power Shares is that it's a limited field, the last event of the year, and on the Champions, or excuse me, PGA Champions Tour, Champions Tour, whatever's easiest, that's easiest for me, that will allow your members and your participation to play with those top professionals. I believe the field's the top 57 or 58 Champions Tour professionals from the year. So you're guaranteed to play with one of the top tour professionals when you participate in this event. And we ask that you pull in your members, try to pull in your members, and you will participate. It's a winner-take-all purse of $6,000. The idea being to participate with your members at this great championship. So we have been and will continue to send information to you. And then, of course, as I mentioned to you, if you have the time and before golf, to go visit Alex, as well as the rest of our sponsors who you'll hear from in a few minutes. So we appreciate that. We appreciate your time. And again, it's nice to be with you this morning. And please don't hesitate for whatever you need. Our section staff is here to work with you and be with you and do what we can. So again, thanks for the time this morning and have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. I think most of you kind of know that wasn't that long ago we converted the foundation committee into a board, and that group has been very active. We've brought a number of people that are influencers within the various golf communities to help really do some fundraising. So when Tom's saying it's, these clubs, we're looking for cash donations. If we weren't clear, we're looking for cash donations so that we can really boost the amount of golf clubs that we can give away and expand beyond the Inland Empire. I am remiss looking over here to Allison Kerr. We're going to recognize her, but we recognized some of our other champions. Allison's going to be competing in the upcoming KPMG Women's Championship in June, and we just wish you the best of luck as you represent all of us. So thanks very much. Before we turn the program over to Sandy, Southern California is going to be in the golf spotlight over this summer. We've got the U.S. Women's Amateur Championship being played at San Diego Country Club. We've got the Men's Amateur Championship, the qualifiers, Oakmont primarily, but at Bel Air, and the finals at Riviera. And then we've got the Walker Cup that'll be played at LA Country Club. So I know that you're going to see a lot of different notices kind of going out. Every single one of those events has the opportunity to volunteer, and I strongly recommend that you take the opportunity to go support your fellow professionals as they're putting on these key events in amateur golf. And as all of you know, it's kind of what we do for our clubs and our club members all the time. This is just another opportunity to kind of show what we do and help facilitate the best of golf here in Southern California. So hopefully you take the chance to participate. Next up, our Director of Diversity and Inclusion from the PGA of America. I'd like to introduce everybody to Sandy Cross.
Thank you, Todd. I appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me here. Really, really appreciate the time on the agenda. I know it's a lot to sit through a long meeting for many hours, and everyone's looking forward to getting out on the golf course. It's such a beautiful day. But I really appreciate this time together and the section leadership affording me this time to talk about diversity and inclusion. I've got a lot that I want to really power through in about 45 minutes. I'm going to go pretty quickly, but please know that I am available to you afterward or anytime in the coming days and weeks to talk on the phone with you, your teams, on just kind of a collaborative, consultative basis. I'm available to you for any of this information. I'm also happy to share my presentation afterwards. So again, we're going to move really quickly so we stay on track, but I'm available to you going forward. Let's see here. Okay. Now everyone comes to the subject of diversity and inclusion through a different lens. And the lens, frankly, that this presentation was put together through is my lens. I'm a Caucasian Generation X woman who grew up in a suburb of Buffalo, New York. I played many sports growing up, played volleyball in college, but was never exposed to golf. Until I started working at the PGA of America 21 years ago as a temporary employee. It was frankly a side gig, just a temp job for me, and turned into a career, which I never anticipated. It's been amazing. But right away, once I got hired after that 90-day temp to perm opportunity, I said, wow, I better really learn this sport. If I'm gonna work in this sport and work in this business, I better learn it. So I did take up the sport. But I'm not a PGA professional. I have not walked a day in your shoes or worked a day in your shoes, but I am hopeful that the information I'm going to share today is really beneficial to you. You can look at it through a couple different lenses. You can look at it through the lens of your customers, your club members, prospective club members that you're trying to engage, and also the workforce at your facilities. I know many of you manage workforces of all shapes and sizes, and that's a lot of demand. So that's another lens that you can use to look at this opportunity through. And just try to identify a couple or a few opportunities that I'm going to share today that you can take back to your clubs and apply. If you're able to walk away with just a couple of things, I think that'll be a home run for us today. And I'd like to start out with a bit of what I call a cautionary tale from a woman named Tara J. Frank. And we do a lot of work with Tara. She actually ran the multicultural strategy for Hallmark for 20 years. And she built their greeting card business, the multicultural greeting card business that Hallmark now has. And what's interesting about Hallmark is they're also, like the PGA of America, a 100-year-old brand, an iconic brand that has storefronts all across America that they don't own and operate. So very, very much like the PGA of America. And if you think about it, the World Wide Web exploded in 1994, and all of our lives are drastically different since the web exploded. We're all attached to our mobile devices at any given time of the day. And while for many, many years, futurists warned about that digital revolution coming, and a lot of companies prepared for that revolution, it's very similar to the cultural revolution that we're experiencing today. People have been talking about it literally for decades now, talking about diversity and inclusion. Some businesses are getting ready for it, others have not. But if you think about it, today the world's largest retailer does not own their inventory. The largest taxi company does not own their vehicles. And the largest media company does not own any of their content. So again, you can think about the companies who got ready for the digital revolution, took it seriously, prepared their businesses, prepared their teams, versus those that did not. And I'm sure if you asked Blockbuster 15 years ago if they were taking the digital revolution seriously, they would have said yes. But we all know what happened at the end of that story. So really, we like to say that a declaration without activation behind it is not going to wind up very well. Now, here on the screen, you'll see, and I apologize, the formatting got a little bit skewed there. You'll see the PGA of America's declaration about diversity and inclusion. And the leadership of the organization put this declaration front and center in the long-term strategic plan in August of 2014. And this is great. I'll be honest, this was the time 3 years ago when I was allowed to take on the diversity and inclusion role. And I was really, really excited to see that the leadership put this stake in the ground for the first time in almost 100 years and was committing very intentionally to diversity and inclusion. And I was excited about the new role. But honestly, in the back of my mind, I was taking a little bit of a wait and see approach. Like, okay, is this going to be a declaration without activation, or are we really going to put some teeth behind it and some resources behind it and some action behind it? And I'm pleased to say that we have. Now, diversity and inclusion, that moniker, if you will, doesn't always serve the effort very well. The words diversity and inclusion are very misunderstood, very narrowcast, and also in an organization, an association, where a large portion of our membership is of the boomer generation and older. Boomers and older grew up in a generation where diversity and inclusion was more about compliance, affirmative action, EEOC. So they're coming to that subject matter through that lens. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just generational. It's not personal. But diversity and inclusion, you can think about it in this way. Diversity is being invited to the party, and inclusion is being asked to dance. Two very different things. John Skipper, who's the president of ESPN, he likes to use this phrase with his team. Diversity is about who's on the team, and inclusion is about who gets to play. Again, two very different things. Now, by a more technical definition, diversity is all the things that make us distinctly different and distinctly unique. And inclusion puts that diversity into action. It harnesses the power of those differences and brings together the richness of ideas and connection, backgrounds, and perspectives. Those are all harnessed for a real business value. So it's important to understand that diversity and inclusion, sometimes referred to as D&I, are really distinctly different. And organizations can certainly be diverse. They can have diverse employees, but it doesn't mean they're inclusive. The two don't operate, one isn't a given because of the other. And I like to think, let's put the I before the D. If organizations lead inclusively, the diversity should naturally follow. If you have an inclusive environment, it's going to invite or beget diversity. Now you can see here we like to use this golf ball analogy because really at our core we all have a personal identity that's wrapped in layers of difference. There's primary and secondary and organizational dimensions of difference. And on this next slide, I hope the font is large enough, you can see the primary, secondary, and organizational dimensions of difference. And if you just scan down those columns, you can start to see the different layers that wrap you as an individual, are wrapped around your personal identity. It goes well beyond gender, it goes well beyond race and ethnicity. What we're going to focus on today are those primary dimensions of difference that you see in the first-hand column: age, race, gender, ethnicity, physical ability, and sexual orientation. Now, when we talk about diversity, there's surface-level diversity, things that can be seen and are observable and are generally agreed on by just a visual look. And then there's a deeper level diversity that really requires building a relationship with someone, getting to know someone, building trust, asking questions, peeling back those layers to see what's deeper below that surface. So what I'd like to do at each of your place settings, you should have a chart on the table that looks like what you see on the screen here, called Trading Places. I want to quickly do an activity, and I hope everyone has a pen or pencil. On the next slide, I'm going to show you descriptions of individuals, persons A through H, and a little bit of information about each of them. And what I'd like you to do is rank in order from 1 through 8 the persons that you would most want to trade places with permanently. So who would you want to permanently trade places with based on the information? Numeral 1 will be the person that you most want to trade places with, and then number 8 would be the person that you least want to trade places with. We'll take about 3 minutes for this. And please, no talking during the exercise. Just do it very personally. You won't be asked to turn in your sheet at the end. This is just for yourself. And we'll get started. Here is the information about persons A through H. If you need to stand up and walk closer to the screen, please don't hesitate to do so. Yeah, don't hesitate to stand up. Okay, now we're going to go to round 2, and I'm going to provide a little bit more information about these persons, A through H. Please take a look at the additional information, and in the second column on your sheet, please order the individuals again, 1 through 8, on who you would most permanently want to trade places with. Please, no discussion. Okay, and one more round of information. Please do a final ranking in that third column, 1 through 8. Okay, we're going to wrap up so we stay on track with time. You can see that this exercise really highlights the personal goals and values that we have as individuals. And those values tie into why we would or would not want to be someone. And you can also see as we went through the rounds, the 3 rounds, and we were peeling back those layers, we went from that round 1 surface level diversity, things that are visible and observable, to rounds 2 and 3, where we got into the deeper level diversity that would again require getting to know someone, build a relationship, peel back the layers, build some trust. Is there anyone who would want to quickly share where maybe they were in round 1 and where they wound up in round 3? Yes?
I was H all the way.
Okay, H all the way.
Absolutely.
And is there thoughts behind why or what drove your values or decisions?
Complete opposite of me in every way.
Complete opposite of you.
Sure.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else? Okay. Well, thank you for doing that. I hope you found it insightful. The exercise also helps us explore bias. We all have bias, unconscious bias. Anyone that is a human with a brain has bias. We have biases for things and biases against things. It's really part of what they call our implicit people preferences. And those preferences are shaped starting right from birth. They're shaped by a lot of outside influences, including the media. The media is a big shaper of our biases. And overcoming those unconscious biases is really key to making informed decisions and better decisions and innovating. And Pete Bavacqua, our CEO, he shared with me, he just attended Microsoft's CEO Summit, and he sat in on a session, he said it was called The Inclusive Company, which the global chair of Ernst & Young, Mark Weinberg, ran. And Mr. Weinberg shared 2 case studies about what he called horrible business business decisions that were made due to unconscious bias. And the fact that all of the research on these two projects were performed by a homogeneous group of Caucasian males. The first example was airbags. And when airbags were first designed, they only protected men and actually hurt or killed women and children. And then the second example that was used in the workshop was voice recognition software. When it was first designed, it only worked recognizing the voices of white males. So those are just two business examples of the importance of having diversity and a diverse lens around the table. So what I'd like to do now is move into talking about those primary dimensions of difference. We're going to start with generational diversity. And a couple of the basics around generational diversity. And again, I caveat this here. In the information we're going to share across these dimensions of difference, there's a lot of broad generalizations, statements that I'm going to make. Of course, there are always exceptions to the rule. So please keep that in mind. When we talk about generational diversity, each generational cohort that I'm going to share with you spans about a 20 to 25 year segment. Each generation has a very unique set of values, and what they do hold in common is that they react to the generation before them, and they also look very skeptically at the generation that's to follow. And you can see the cohorts here on the screen and how they break down by the years. And by 2020, so just 3 years from now, we will work side by side with coworkers who span 5 generations. Right now we span 4 generational cohorts in the workplace for the most part. We're soon to be having 5 generations colliding in the workplace. So those of you that manage teams, this is a huge challenge that you're currently dealing with and will continue to deal with as that next generation comes into the workplace. And the generations, you'll see, give different priorities to what they expect out of their workplace experience. A lot of this work that I'm sharing is coming from Anna Layata. We've done a lot of work with Anna. She's actually one of 12 children. She's the daughter of a PGA professional, lives up in the Pacific Northwest region of the country. But she authored a book called Unlocking Generational Codes. And it's an excellent book for any of you that want to kind of dig deeper into this subject matter. But when Anna talks about the codes, it's an acronym for communication style, and that's pretty self-evident what that is. Orientation is how a person views themselves in relation to other generations. Discipline is the nature of our productive relationships with authoritarian figures. Environment, that's the environment that we do or don't like to work within. How we leverage technology, the type of workspace that we like. And then success, we all define success differently. What are our critical anchors? Do we work to live or do we live to work? Now each generation's code is created typically for that generation between the ages of 8 to 13. Typically there is a national event or a global event that occurs that makes the imprint on that generation and shapes the essence of who they are. And the event, coupled with the emotion of that event, makes that imprint. And the higher the emotion of that event, that national or global event, the deeper the imprint. And we'll take a look at some of these cohorts and some of the influencers that have shaped them. So the traditionalists, individuals who are 65 years and older, they not only survived the Great Depression, but they were instrumental in shaping the United States as an economic and military power. Patriotism, teamwork, doing more with less, and task orientation very much define traditionalists. Rules of conduct, respect for authority, and following directions are really important touch points for this generation. They were responsible for developing today's space program, creating vaccines, and laying the foundation for the technological environment we live in today. and they moved families from farms and cities to what we now know as suburbia. Now, if you think about the workplace and marketing for traditionalists, those influencers we just saw on the screen and those core values and attributes really impact what traditionalists desire in the workplace and in what they desire in terms of being marketed to as consumers. Their respect for authority and rules led them to prefer a conservative and traditional workplace. They respond well to a clear chain of command, reminiscent of their military days. And from a marketing perspective, a personalized touch is really important. Tradition sells, they're very brand loyal, and this lines up really well for traditional golf clubs. Now moving into the baby boomer generation, 1946 to 1963, during the late 40s and early 50s, the post-war optimism inspired a sense of stability, opportunity, prosperity. It was the dawn of space exploration, accessible long-distance travel, and prosperity for many Americans. However, with increasing racial tensions in the U.S., the emergence of the Vietnam War, as well as the self-exploration and peace movements of the 60s, the collective identity of this boomer generation became really, really complex. And while they saw increasing social and economic equality, they also came of age in a period where the country was really torn on differing views in politics, war, and social justice. They participated in some of the greatest social changes, civil rights movement, the women's movement, etc. Again, those events that made an imprint on a generation. There's 76 million people were born in the boomer generation. 10,000 of them are retiring each day. And I really, when I saw that stat, I questioned it, but I dug into it very deeply, and it is in fact true. 10,000 boomers are retiring each day. That's almost 4 million a year of that entire 76 million people in the cohort. This is the fastest growing generation that wants to stay more active than the prior generations, so that's something that can be capitalized on from a golf experience standpoint. From a marketing perspective, they grew up saying they would never trust anyone over 30. They feel 29 and do not like to be marketed to as seniors. They are not ready to retire yet, even though many are retiring each day. And there's an opportunity to kind of capitalize on that forever young energy, if you will, at the club level. Now, Generation X, 1964 to 1979, they were pushed towards adulthood at an age earlier than any other generation. They grew up in an era of emerging technology and political and institutional incompetence. Watergate, 3 Mile Island, the Iranian hostage crisis, the Iran-Contra and Clinton-Lewinsky debacles marked the emergence of this generation. They learned that their parents were human and fallible, and often found themselves treating their parents like older friends. Autonomy and self-reliance, rather than respect for authority, was a natural byproduct of the Gen X childhood. They watched their parents get laid off, and they watched politicians lie. So this made them very, very skeptical. They were also the first generation to get marketed to directly. They seek a work-life balance. Many of us do. That's not, singular to the Gen X, but they seek a work-life balance and flexible schedules. They don't like strict supervision, but they do like direct communication, which is very different. Being transparent and honest with our communication to them and our marketing to them is very, very important. Personalizing the message, showing the value for the money are really important to keep in mind from a marketing perspective. Now jumping over to millennials, I'm sure you've read a lot about this. There's constant coverage of the millennial generation. Most of it, frankly, is very negative. I find that unfortunate. You know, if you think about millennials, they're ages 18 to 34. That's a huge age range. That's a huge expanse. You think about an 18-year-old compared to a 34-year-old who may be grown and married and have 2 children and be well on in their career, and you know, lump them in with an 18-year-old who's may not even be out of high school yet, and we talk very negatively about them in a lot of these materials that we read. I just think it's a disservice. But there's more than 75 million millennials. 43% of them are multicultural. They've surpassed baby boomers as the nation's largest living generation, and they represent the largest segment in the United States workforce today. And with immigration adding more numbers to this group of millennials than any other cohort, the millennial population is projected to peak in the year 2036. They've grown up in an era of technology. All the technological advancements in real-time media and communication really drive their expectation for immediacy. And their baby boomer parents nurtured them and protected them, providing for every emotional, educational, physical need and want. And they were praised and rewarded by their boomer parents for oftentimes minimal effort, which increased the expectations of schools and communities to educate them, entertain them, and protect them based on what's going on globally in terms of a safety concern. And as a result, these young workers have really high expectations of recognition and reward from others, and at times with minimal effort. So that's a concern. And while their dreams collided with economic reality, they're very, very optimistic about the future. Now, when you look at the workplace and the marketplace, or the marketing to these individuals, they spend a lot of time watching their parents rise to the top of the corporate ladder, balancing work and family, and then they saw their parents lose their jobs. And, you know, as a result of downsizing or the reorganizations that took place. So therefore, with the millennials, work is often considered temporary and unreliable because of what they saw their parents go through. They may be less committed to an employer, sensing that the employer is less committed to them or less committed to long-term employment. They are continuous job hunters. They've been referred to as the gig economy, G-I-G, always looking for the next gig. Now, the perception is that they're looking for the next gig because they're trying to climb the ladder. But in reality, a lot of the survey results show that they're not necessarily looking to climb the ladder or even increase their compensation. It's more about rounding out their skill set, finding other experiences to become more well-rounded. And when they do work at an organization, they want to understand how everything works and how what they're working on fits into the bigger picture of the organization, fits into the fabric of everything that's going on versus working in isolation or in an isolated task or function and project that doesn't connect to the larger picture. So that's really, really important when trying to engage them. Now on this next slide here, and there's a lot of information, but I just show this because as you look at the generations and the attributes in the left-hand column and how these set up, you can immediately see that when 4 or 5 generations collide in the workplace, there's absolutely going to be a lot of friction because of these differences. But the one thing to remember, and Anna Layata, this is really the theme in her book, is that it's not personal, it's generational. So when conflicts arise in the workplace or conflicts arise among the membership, etc., just try to step back and remind yourself that, okay, this isn't personal, it's generational. Now we're going to segue into the next dimension, primary dimension of diversity, and that is gender diversity. And the compelling business case for engaging women continues to get stronger. You can see the latest figures on the screen here. 58% of the bachelor's degrees, 52% of professional held jobs, 50% of America's wealth held by women, $7 trillion in spending, 85% of consumer purchases are made by women or influenced by women. So there's really continues to be a compelling business case and a growing business case for engaging women in your business, any business. They are the keys to the financial kingdom. From a what's trending standpoint, a number of megatrends are at play. There's a continued increase in the number of working moms. 40% are the sole breadwinners now for their households. The number of single parents continues to grow. Single mothers, single fathers, very important to keep in mind. There are fewer marriages, and folks get married at an older age. There's more remarriages, more divorces, fewer children per family, and folks are having children at an older age. So you kind of go through those mega trends and you think about the implications for your business. They're real. They have real impact on the programmatic delivery, the delivery of customer service. Really important to think about. Now, we talked a lot in recent years in the Connecting with Her work about the fundamental differences between men and women in terms of how they communicate, how they like to be marketed to. And all of that is important, but I think what happened in the Connecting with Her work, we kind of approached it in a bit of a one-size-fits-all manner, which really did the effort a little bit of a disservice. You know, we kind of one-size-fits-all woman approach, and it really wasn't the best way to approach the market. And also when you focus solely on gender, it can set true inclusion back. So those were some key learnings for us. As you know, and we saw on some of those prior slides, there's really an interrelated nature between all of those identity categories: your generation, your age, your ability, your religion, your workplace. All of those things comprise who you are. So to have an effort that's just, okay, we're just going to go after women very linearly or singularly, really kind of set the effort back. And I've watched the emergence of, and you probably have too, of some of these women's affinity groups in the golf space. So Black Girls Golf, Women of Color Golf, Black Girls Swing, the Latina Golfers Association. And as I watched these emerge, I was really excited because I was seeing the growth and multicultural women's golf, but I was also concerned because I was also seeing this separation of women's culturally based groups separating and having their own organizations. So I asked Tiffany Fitzgerald, who is the CEO of Black Girls Golf, why she created the organization. And you know, I told her what I just shared with you, that I was excited but also a little bit concerned, and I asked her why she created it, and she said to me, she said, "Sandy, have you ever heard of code switching?" And I said, "No, I'm not familiar with what code switching is." And Tiffany shared with me that in the African American community, and I don't know if this was women specific, but she was sharing it through her lens. She said, you know, when women of color walk into a professional setting, and they do equate the golf course and a golf setting with a professional setting, they, not consciously but subconsciously, the switch gets flipped. And Tiffany talked about how they immediately carry themselves differently, they speak differently, they may dress and wear their hair differently, all to help make sure that they fit into the professional setting. And what she was getting at was that they really struggle to be their authentic selves in the golf place setting. So they've gone and they've created these Black Girls Golf, Women of Color Golf, etc., so they can feel more comfortable and be their more authentic selves in and around the golf experience. So I thought that was really interesting. So with all that said, what I've been asking myself is, if men and women are so different and there's these cultural nuances, what are the things that are really universally held truths across any dimension of difference? Because we're not going to be able to create all of these special programs for all of these different groups and make everything so customer specific. And the few things that I came up with are, one is what I like to call the power of the invitation. Now, if you think about the sport of golf, it is a sport of invitation. Almost every single person that plays golf was invited into the sport that first time by somebody else. Golf is really not a sport that you take up on your own. You just don't wake up one day and say, hey, I'm gonna roll down the street to that club and find my way through the gates and figure out what's going on the other side. Somebody invited you out that first time. So that invitation, regardless of gender or race or any of the other dimensions, is critically important to disrupting what I call this kind of self-reinforcing vortex of sameness in the game of golf, in the business of golf, where the same people are kind of inviting out the same people into the sport. And there's nothing wrong with that, and it's very natural and it's human nature. We all kind of want to be around people that are like us. It's natural to seek out sameness. But if we're going to grow participation and diverse participation in the sport, we have to disrupt that vortex and then start inviting difference into the sport. So that power of the invitation is really important. Another universally held truth, I believe, that cuts across all dimensions of difference is empowerment. Who doesn't want to be empowered? And when we think, for example, about marketing to women, pink is not a strategy. It's not, wine and chip and sip, and all of those programs are good and can be effective, but when we market, for example, to women, we should be thinking more about empowerment. And golf is an empowerment tool for her. And I noticed on YouTube, there's actually now an empowerment channel of all types of major advertisers that are leveraging empowerment with men and women. I'll use Coors Light as an example. Their ads are very rooted in empowerment. So anyways, interesting to take a look at that. And I know we're not doing 30-second ad spots, but those things are important when extending invitations in the sport and marketing in the sport. Another thing that I'd like to cover in the gender section is some inclusive language. Tom Addis and I have talked a lot about this. We get a lot of questions about language across these different dimensions of diversity. What phrases to use, what terms to possibly stay away from. So I want to bounce through a few of them right now. For example, avoid using the word females and lean towards using the word women. Females can feel impersonal, so really try to use the word women when possible. Another would be girls. Avoid using the word girls unless you're referring to people under the age of 18. Now, you may have a group of older women who say, oh, we're going to have a girls' night out. Women have the prerogative, if you will, to refer to themselves as girls. But when we're referring to individuals, females who are over the age of 18, we should refer to them as women, not girls. Ladies, this is another term. Start using the word women when possible instead of ladies as you create new programming. Now, some of these terms, as you know, are deeply rooted in the fabric of the golf culture. The word ladies, the ladies' grill, the ladies' room, the ladies' tees, all of those terms are deeply rooted in the fabric and the culture of our game. So these take a lot of thought and very intentional contemporary shift. But if you think about words like how stewardess evolved evolved to flight attendant, or secretary evolved to administrative assistant. This would be a similar shift, evolving from ladies to women. It's just more contemporary and more inclusive from a business standpoint. Another one would be the ladies' tees. I would suggest replacing that with forward tees or some other non-gender related term. You know, arguably, and you as golf professionals would know much better than I, but I would suggest that individuals should select their set of tees based on their skill level. What's their average length of drive, what's their average swing speed, and not be selecting tees based solely on gender. So I would encourage you, if you have ladies' tees or that nomenclature is used around the club, to try to evolve to something that's more inclusive. Another one would be name inconsistencies. So, you know, we'll use an example of a panel discussion where men and women are being introduced, and we might say, introducing President Paul Levy and Susie. You know, always introduce them in the same kind of format. President Paul Levy and Vice President Susie Whaley, or Mr. Levy and Mrs. Whaley. Little nuances like that show that we're very thoughtful and that we're very inclusive in our language. Another one would be, and you know, this is challenging for an association like the PGA of America, where we have a 96% male membership. Remembering that we do have active and engaged female members in our association, trying to avoid using language that refers to the association or maybe your club membership in male terms. Fraternity, fraternal, there's a number of terms that we use, and they're not meant ever to be hurtful or harmful. It's very unintentional, but because, again, some of these are so deeply rooted in the golf culture, it's important to kind of step back and look and think about, okay, are these inclusive? Are they contemporary? Are they potentially off-putting to anyone that we're trying to engage? And then also with women, there's some, I think I'm missing a slide here, some assumptions that we want to avoid. Don't assume that she's married. And don't assume that if she is married that she has the same last name as her husband. She may not. There's an increasing trend where women are not necessarily taking the last name of their spouse. And then also another assumption is, don't assume that someone who's coming into the golf shop can't afford something based on the way they're dressed. Or maybe they're coming into the club and they might be a prospect for a club membership, but because of the way they're dressed, you might assume that he or she is not of the ilk to make the purchase. And I say that because, as you know, there's been really a trend in athleisure apparel, Lululemon and yoga pants, and people dressing much more casually. So it's important to not make those assumptions, and then not assuming anything about her motherhood status. You know, we saw those trends on some earlier slides about women having children much older, etc. So it's easy to get caught in a couple of those traps when approaching sales with women. Segueing to the next primary dimension of diversity, race and ethnicity. As you know, the population is shifting quickly. 92% of the United States population growth from 2000 to 2014 came from multicultural groups. Nearly 4 in 10 Americans identify as something other than non-Hispanic white. And as the demographic composition of America continues to evolve, it's really important to understand, you know, if you look at a 5 or 10 mile radius around your club and identify, you know, who's in that community, who's engaged at the club and who's not engaged at the club, what that population looks like, how do you start to go after that population? By 2044, so very soon, America will be a majority country. In a number of states, a number of the minority groups are already the majority. The under 18 generation is the most ethnically diverse generation we've ever had, and the last generation with a Caucasian majority. California, Hawaii, New Mexico, Texas, the majority of the population is already comprised of individuals of color. And you have on at your table there's two reference guides. One is a gender communications reference guide, and I believe stapled to it is a multicultural communications reference guide. A few of these language tips I'm going to share on the next slides are in that guide in much more depth. And again, I'm also available to speak with anyone on the phone. But this is another category we get a lot of questions about. What's the right nomenclature to use? What are the incorrect terms to use, if you will? 57 million people in America are living in multi-generational households, particularly Hispanics. They place high value on family, language, culture. And from a language standpoint, we should avoid using the word Spanish when referring to this demographic, and use the word Hispanic, Latino, or Latina, or the plural versions of those when referring to this category. In terms of the Black and African American demographic, the terms Black and African American, for the most part, can be used interchangeably. However, in cases where it's known that the majority of the Black population is Haitian or another ethnicity, the term Black is preferred. So generally, you can use those terms interchangeably, but not at all times. The term Black is acceptable when referring to an individual, but when referring to a group, use the term Black people or African Americans, and avoid using the term Blacks or colored. Now, I'd like to share this example here. I thought Apple did a great job when they came out with their racially diverse emojis. And it's really important, and I learned particularly with the African American population, this idea, it's called overt representation. The idea of represent me, I want to be seen. And that's what Apple was doing here when they came out with the racially diverse emojis. They were saying, we recognize you as individuals, that you're uniquely different. So if you think about the imagery within your club environments or the marketing materials that your team is sending out, does it provide that representation? Can your prospective customers and club members see themselves visually in your club? When they walk into the club, do they see themselves represented in the staff that works there? Those attributes are really, really important. Asian American and Asians, use the terms Asian American or Asian or the specific ethnic group when referring to these demographics, such as Korean American would be a good example. The plural forms, of course, as well are acceptable. Avoid the term Oriental. That is not a contemporary and inclusive term to use. Native American, another very important category. Avoid the term Indian and use Native American or Native Americans plural. The term American Indian is still acceptable in some areas, but the term Indian is generally used to refer to people from India. So a lot of nuances here. It gets pretty heavy trying to figure out all the terms and the do's and don'ts. So feel free to rely on that guide that we've placed at your place setting. And also one final note in the race and ethnicity category. Something that we call seemingly positive language can be very risky. Avoid using this seemingly positive language when describing people of color. And this is language that you use when you're describing people of color that you wouldn't ever use when you're describing Caucasians. So an example would be, say there was a guest speaker who was an individual of color, and you said, oh, they had a guest speaker, and she was so great, and she was so articulate. And you say it almost with amazement that, oh, she was so articulate, and she was a woman of color. Or you may have never said that about a white woman speaking, oh, she was so articulate. I don't know if that's the best example, but those are the type of things that, again, not intending to be hurtful, but on the receiving end, through someone else's lens who is different, while intended to be positive, can come across as very negative and hurtful. Moving into the next dimension of difference, physical ability. In this one, it's natural to think about an individual with a visible physical impairment, someone who's mobility impaired, is maybe using a wheelchair or some other supportive apparatus. But if you think about the 57 million people in the United States that have a disability, most of those disabilities are not visible. They may be physical and visible, but they may also be emotional or social or auditory or visual or cognitive, or they could be post-injury. 1 in 5 individuals in America are disabled, and 1 in 10 are severely disabled. 22% of those individuals played golf prior to their disability. And now we all know the transformational nature of the game, and that it can be played by anyone, regardless of their ability or disability that they may have. So as you and your teams think about engaging the huge population of individuals with disabilities, make sure you're thinking beyond just those physical disabilities, because many of them may be invisible. And also, while it's really important to be ADA compliant at our facilities, the effort to engage individuals with disabilities has to go much more deeper than ADA compliance. It has to be more attitudinal with your staff than just architectural and how the facility is structured. It's really, individuals with disabilities are going to be able to tell if you and your team are authentically welcoming them into the facility. And a couple things from a language perspective. Put the person first when you're talking about an individual with a disability. So person with a disability versus disabled person. Always use that person first language. Avoid terms that are outdated. Handicapped, crippled, retarded. Those are not contemporary terms. Also, think of a wheelchair or other mobility devices as liberating to the user as opposed to confining. Those are the devices that help them get around society and engage with society. And then also avoid negative or disempowering terms such as victim or sufferer, that they suffer from something. We've also contemporized a lot of our language at the PJ of America. We had some materials that said, for example, wheelchair bound. The individual is not necessarily bound to their wheelchair. Again, that is a device that enables them to engage more fully in society. Also, asking before you help when an individual has a disability is really important. Just because someone has a disability, we shouldn't assume that they need help. Generally, they will ask for assistance if they need it. Certainly don't hesitate to offer assistance, but generally individuals with disabilities will ask for help if they need it or desire it. And also, if someone with a disability asks you for help, it's important that you and your teams respond very graciously to that. Sometimes we tend to receive a request for help that's come from an individual with a disability. We might take that as a complaint, or we might be put on the defensive, but it actually shows that they feel comfortable enough at the facility to ask for that help. So that's really a good sign if you're getting requests for help from individuals with disabilities at your club. If they get a positive response, they're going to tell their family and their friends and come back for more of your good service. One resource before we leave this category is the National Alliance for Accessible Golf. If you go to accessgolf.org, there's a lot of great information in there about this consumer demographic. The Alliance also gives grants on a rolling basis to facilities that offer integrated programming. So if you have programming at your facility where individuals with disabilities are integrated into your mainstream programming versus programming that's separate and apart from the main programming, you would be eligible for a grant. So I encourage you to check that out at accessgolf.org. Our final primary dimension of diversity is sexual orientation. This topic can be a bit sensitive because it falls often along political and religious lines, so it can be a sensitive topic to talk about. 6% of Americans identify as LGBT, and that population is growing, and individuals are identifying as LGBT or coming out at a younger age than ever before. And that's driven by the media. You know, if you think about what's available on the internet today from an educational standpoint, and also television shows that are on, such as Modern Family, that is that media is fueling young people to come out at an earlier age. But this is an $800 billion a year category in the United States alone. Companies, you see some of them here, Wells Fargo, Target, KitchenAid, Nike, they've built huge verticals of business around the LGBT demographic alone. As you know, in the summer of 2015, same-sex marriages were legalized in America. So if we think about it, our businesses, is our language, our verbal language and our visual language inclusive? You know, another assumption, we can't always now assume Mr. and Mrs. We have to think about the use of the word spouse, the use of the word partner, and make sure that we're being contemporary with that offering. And also if we think about, for example, the family membership that you may be selling at your club. Does your family membership package or product, is it inclusive of today's non-traditional family sets? Another thing to think about. Another example would be gender-inclusive restrooms. This photo I saw at the San Diego airport. And, you know, are those appropriate at your facility? Now, this is only something that you can, these topics, can you determine with your leadership at your club? You know, where is the leadership on what I'll call the spectrum of inclusion? Are they ready to make some tweaks to language, make some tweaks to membership packages, signage, things of that nature? You have to gauge the climate at your club and kind of integrate an appropriate pace for your club, and all clubs are different. Okay, how am I doing on time? Over? Under? Okay. All right, we're starting to wrap up. So that concludes the primary dimensions of diversity. I want to close out with workforce diversity, and that's a picture of our headquarters staff from last summer. Again, we talked about overt representation being very important. This is an interesting stat here. The 12 leading organizations in golf, including the PGA of America, their boards, senior leadership, and full-time staff are 95, 97, and 86% white. Now, if our mission as an association is to grow participation in the sport of golf, we're going to be really, really challenged to do that if the leadership and the staff of the 12 leading organizations in golf are Caucasian, and the composition of America is changing by the day, soon to be minority majority. So we've got to start to diversify that pipeline and get differing perspectives around the table. So if we think about this as a hiring funnel, when you're hiring for positions, regardless of the level, how do you widen the top of that hiring funnel and cast a wider net to bring diversity into that funnel? generationally, racially, physically, all of those dimensions that we talked about. It's really, really important. We've got to kind of disrupt that vortex of sameness to bring others in. A few ways we've done this at the PJ of America. We've started to implement some what we call blind resume review. So I'll use myself as an example. In a recent hiring position that I had open, I asked Human Resources to send me the resumes with all the names and demographic and educational information redacted. I only wanted to review the resumes based on skills and experience. I didn't want to know if it was male or female, race, ethnicity, educational pedigree. I had all of that removed out. And then I let HR know, okay, these are the resumes of the people that I want to have an initial phone screening with. And it wasn't until I got on the phone with those individuals that I really knew anything about them. And it was a very, very powerful process. Another thing that we've done is what we call a diverse slate protocol. Now the slate is the final 3 or 4 individuals that we bring in for an in-person interview. We have mandated that within the final slate for each position that we're hiring for, that we will have diverse representation, and we will have qualified diverse representation. So we'll have gender diversity and racial and ethnic diversity from qualified individuals in those final slates. We've been doing this since November of 2015, and it's really, really improved our diversity numbers in our workforce. And then a final one that we're doing is, gone are the days where the hiring manager does all the interviewing and selects who he or she wants. We do panel-style interviews. So individuals from across the organization come together to interview the candidates in a panel style. And then after the interviews, we debrief together, we share our feedback, and we arrive at a decision on who the position is going to be offered to. So those are some of the things you can do internally to kind of disrupt that vortex of sameness. And then I'll leave you with these thoughts. If diversity and inclusion is something that your business is going to embrace, you have to really intentionally position it at the top of your agenda. Literally put it on the page. And then at the conclusion of the meeting, check yourself against that declaration. How did we do? Was our language, our verbal language, and our visual language inclusive? Did we intentionally invite diverse input from people from other backgrounds? And did we invite the point of view from others who might not be at the table? And then really, is what we're creating truly equitable and truly inclusive? So those are some questions that you and your teams can ask yourselves. With that, Tom, I'm gonna wrap it up. Again, thank you so much. I'm available by phone, by email, happy to share the presentation, any of the notes with you and your teams. Thank you.
Sandy, thank you very much for that. The key word, I think I heard a lot of keywords, but I would say that invitation. I think we all came to the game because we were invited, and that's kind of our continual efforts. I know whether it's with our board and all of you out there at your respective clubs, inviting people to play, inviting people to get involved, and appreciate the education today. Next up, we've just as a note, the chapter reports and the committee reports have been submitted in writing, and they are on the scpj.com. A couple committees to kind of point out, kind of tailor a little bit to what Sandy's talking about. Eric Lohman is taken a task force and turned it into a committee called the Mentoring Committee, and there's a lot more information that'll be coming out on that one. And again, another good opportunity to kind of create mentorship opportunities and invitations for people to get involved. Also, the Teaching Committee had spring summit down at the Callaway Golf Center and did a great job. I know Allison was a speaker, many of you also attended, and we're going to continue to kind of elevate that in the fall. On October the 23rd and 24th, Jamie Mulligan is going to be hosting a 2-day, what I would call an epic teaching summit that you're not going to want to miss. And the panel of instructors are going to be world class. Great opportunity also to include your assistants and apprentices. I mean, literally, if we can get 300, 400 people there, Jamie would love it. That's a target goal for him. We're calling this the 2017 California Golf Summit and our teaching summit, and it's going to be sponsored by Travis Matthews, and it's going to be a one not to miss. So please make some plans to do that. And then finally, I know that Joe Groman will probably take this opportunity, or at least coming up in new business, but with the PGA Reach and the efforts that he's doing with our disabled golfers, and just remarkable work, Joe. So thanks again for your service to our wounded soldiers and to those that served us, and to your fellow professionals. Thank you. With that, we'll take a call for old business. Any old business that we'd like to talk about? Last call. How about new business? Any new business? Joe Groman. Sure, why not? Right.
My phone ran out of memory, so we'll do the best we can. Just congratulations, Bill. Well deserved. Been on the board with Bill for the Praise Your Pro-Am all these years, and he's the guy who put the whole thing together every year, so thank you for that. And you finally got one of those trophies the hard way, right? Yeah. Very nice. Just briefly, tomorrow, we have our 12th annual Special Ed Kids Golf Clinic over at the Navy Golf Course. I know it's been on Facebook, but a lot of you guys might not have seen that. So it's like one of the funnest ones we do all year. If you got any apprentices that are off tomorrow, or if you're not doing anything, I know it's very, very short notice to come on down. That's a super good time with these kids. So that's tomorrow at the Navy Golf Course. Be there at 10 a.m. We still got Pendleton coming up. We have our annual Inner City Kids Clinic down in Chester, Washington's coming up in July. Our 18th annual Junior Blinds in July as well. So keep an eye out for that stuff. So these are always a great time, and everyone's always welcome to come out and help out. So that's all I got today. Thanks.
Thanks, Joe. I thought you were going to just take it over and just be MC all over again. That's usually the best part of this program. Any other new business? Anybody else would like to talk about new business? Last call. Members open forum. Just one more opportunity to share. Anybody? No? Okay. All right, well, at this time, today's made possible by our great sponsors, and this time we'll bring up Nicole Quick to go through their presentations. And again, thanks to the many sponsors that are here today, and hope you had a chance to see most of them outside, and Nicole will introduce many of them to you right now.
Hey guys, how's everyone today? Can we take 2 minutes and just stand up and stretch real quick? Because I know you guys are just exhausted in this room. Oh, thank you. Perfect. All right. Our first partner I'd like to call up is Deandra from Global Tour Golf. She can make her way up here while you guys are just stretching out real quickly. Take it away, Deandra. Hello everyone, good morning. My name is Deandra Underseth. I am representing GT Golf Supplies. Also our LA sales rep Mike Nash was out there as well if you happen to see him. We have 2 other reps that cover this section, Don Gallion and the Desert, along with Mark Zeminski, and he does some of San Diego and Riverside. I'm going to show you a quick film. Promise not to take up most of your time, but we have a new program called the Green Grass Initiative, and the main goal of this is to establish a partnership relationship versus a transactional one. We accomplish this by setting up a physical meeting, and then we'll fill out a contact form and pro shop analysis form. From all this analysis, we'll put together a program that is specific to you guys. And with that comes a bunch of different benefits. The $10,000 annual investment. You get net 60 terms, free freight over 250, co-op monies, a bunch of other benefits. So here's a little video. Volume.
When you run a golf course, there's a lot to keep up with. There's the golf course, food and beverage, and the pro shop, all with their own cluster of vendors needed. But did you know that the average pro shop requires 3 times the vendors, yet only brings in a fraction of the revenue? Something's not adding up. Would you buy your ketchup from one supplier and mustard from another? If you partner with GT Golf Supplies for the Green Grass Initiative, you'd save yourself time and money without the hassle. By bringing us on as a partner supplier, you'll use fewer vendors, which means fewer transactions, lower negotiated product prices, and an average savings of $1,000 per year in labor costs. You'll get guaranteed low pricing on all products and shipping, free retail displays to consolidate top-selling accessories, and guaranteed sell-through on all merchandise. And with an easy-to-use online portal, customized order forms for online and phone orders, and your own dedicated customer service team, so you can get back to what you enjoy most. Don't sweat the small stuff. That's our job. Call or email to learn more and find out why more than 1,000 golf courses have partnered with us.
All right, small little video. So if you guys have any questions, I have cards out there, catalogs, or just contact your rep. If you don't have a rep and you don't do business with us, just feel free to either call me or call our office, and you can reference the Green Grass Initiative. Have fun today. Thank you. The next one up is David and Eddie from Cleveland. Sorry, David. I know you didn't want to come up and talk.
We got, well, first of all, I want to say thank you to everybody here for supporting us, for helping us grow Cleveland's Strixon. I'm Eddie Seafeld. I do all Orange County area. Also, you know David Murdahl. Gerald Long decided not to be here. He didn't want to put a time penalty on anybody today. But this part right here, I'm going to try to keep as simple and quick as possible. Just a very big thank you. And over the course of the past 12 months, we've seen Southern California grow 40% with Strixon in Cleveland over the past 12 months. And that couldn't have been with us, and it's all thanks to you guys and the support you've given us. So again, thank you for that. A couple quick things. I don't want to go too much into products or anything else, but one of the keys to sales are golf balls. Golf balls are such a huge sell-through and a quick sell-through at golf courses. And I was surprised when we got some numbers a few months ago that 60% of all golf ball sales are done at the green grass level. They're not done on an off-course facility or brick and mortar, guns, or any other retail shop. 60% are done at the green grass level. And we've seen a huge uptick in the Strixon balls during that time period. But it's been great. And again, it's just a big thank you to everybody here. So that's all I got.
All right, next up we have Joe Martin from EasyGo, our title sponsor.
Good morning. The transformation of E-Z-Go and Cushman utility vehicle products has continued through the first 6 months of 2017 as Textron Golf has been formed and including now our Jacobson turf equipment product line and our most recent acquisition, which was the TKV GPS company that we were partnering with prior. We purchased them in February, and they will be a part of the Textron Golf team. So the emblem that you've seen over years and years, E-Z-Go, will still be around, but we will be under the auspices of Textron Golf. On behalf of all the employees at Textron, both in Augusta, here in Southern California, and all over the United States and the world, I want to say thank you for your generous hospitality. Thank you for your dedication to our products and services. And lastly, and most importantly, thank you for your friendship and your dedication.
Before I introduce our next two partners, I'd like to first of all thank our other generous partners that are outside, and if you haven't gone to see them, please go see them. US Foods has donated some products, so make sure you stop and see them. Impact Canopies, Kenwood, Pepsi, PTE Golf, First T10T is out there. Samantha, are you in the room? No, I think she's out there working it as well. And Golf Buddy and Golf Pride. So if we could give them a round of applause too for all of their wonderful things that they do for us here at the section. That was great. Our next two partners are new to the section here. So let's give them a wonderful round of applause. They have flown all the way out from Miami and Vegas, I believe. So they've come a long way to be here with us today. So if I could have Eva and Debbie from Discover Card. Thank you for being here today, ladies.
If I fall, give you guys something to laugh at if I fall. All right, we're going to keep this really short. As handsome and beautiful as you all look today, I'm sure you're all dying to get out of those suits and those heels and get out there and have some fun. So essentially, we just wanted to thank you guys for allowing us to be here today. We're really honored and proud to be here and being one of your sponsors. We just wanted to give you a little bit of a background about Discover as well. I'm pretty sure you guys are all familiar with Discover. We're a domestic card. We started out as a domestic card, but now we're a global brand. So when you accept Discover at your courses and at your restaurants on your courses, you're not just getting Discover, you're getting the Pulse Network, which we own. You're getting Diners Club International. You're getting a bunch of other global network brands that we've partnered with. RuPay from India, JCB from Japan, UnionPay from China, and a whole slew of other cards that run on our network as well. So I'm going to need my glasses, I'm sorry. I want to make sure I don't miss some points here. Okay, so what you may not know about Discover is that we're bundled in now with Visa and MasterCard. So essentially, if you accept Visa and MasterCard at your courses, you're more than likely technically already enabled to take Discover as well. So we just wanted to bring that awareness to you that you may already have it. If for some reason you don't, just give us a call. We'll help facilitate that for you and enable that for you. If there's a cost involved, Discover will take care of it. So it's very easy. We show up, our transactions show up on the same statements that you're already used to receiving. We're the same price as Visa and MasterCard. So it's really a win-win situation. We'd like to see all of our loyal card members not be turned away for no reason. If we cost the same, we're already on there, we're already being reflected on the same statement that you guys are all used to receiving. We'd love to see you accept all of our card members and not turn anyone away. If you haven't been by our table yet, please do so. We're holding a raffle. We're raffling off a $100 gift card. Debbie's holding the tickets right here. We would love to see one of you guys win that gift card today. Nicole will let you know later who the winner is, right? Okay, and am I missing anything? No? That's it. Okay, thanks you guys. We appreciate the time.
Okay, and last but not least is Pat Scott from Birdie Box, all the way from Miami.
I'm standing between you and golf. Okay, great. Love to get a spot. Okay, my name is Pat DePiero. I'm the CEO and founder of Birdie Box. The local sales rep in Southern California is a guy named Bob Blanda. He also represents Jay Lindbergh. Can you give you a quick overview of Birdie Box? Because we're new to Southern California, new to this section, although we sponsored 5 other PGA sections throughout the country. Some industry data that I thought may be relevant for this audience, and some common questions that typically come up from pros and GMs and directors of golf. So if you're thinking about it, hopefully I've addressed it. If not, you can meet me afterwards or after the round. Okay. As far as what is Birdie Box, basically we're a one-stop shop gift solution. So for tee gifts, for member events, for group outings, for your tournament play, and the analogy I make or the comparison is anything from a bag of teas to a Rolex watch. So any brand, any product, we brand everything in-house, and I'll go over certain advantages and things and how we kind of help, ease the pain and make your life easier and put on a great experience for your guests. As it relates to industry data, I started collecting, basically some intel from the pros around the country. What were their biggest problems? So one, although they have different choice words, was fickle membership. It's hard to please every member because each member has a different style, different interests, whether it's conservative or traditional or contemporary, whether they play TaylorMade or Shrixon or Cleveland, or they're a technology geek or they travel or they don't. So how do we create various different ideas and various different packages that feel more personal to that member, so you don't have 5 or 10 members coming up saying, hey, I already have a 3-wood, or I already have a golf bag, or I already have, a dozen golf balls I could buy in the shop. The other part that people told us about was sizing. It's very tough between the embroidery, the lead time, and getting the sizing requirements to fit 144 players and not have an abundance of shirts that they don't use or they don't fit. Other pieces, minimum orders. So our minimum order requirement is 1. There's no setup costs, so you're not paying, $50 fees for the logo or to do the tie, for the die cut or anything like that. Everything can be done quickly. As far as how quickly can we turn it? So we've done events in less than 72 hours because a lot of times you have different lead time. You're waiting for your events to fill the card. You don't know how many players. So you don't want to place the order until you know exactly what the attendance is. So for us, we ask for things, of course, more lead time the better, but we can turn things around really closely in less than 72 hours. The last piece of data, and then I'll go to the common questions. Last piece of data was group outings. So we collected the data of all the tournaments that are played, so about 200 golf courses for all the group outings. And out of those 200 courses and all the tournament rounds for all the groups, what percentage of them actually secured tee gifts and bought the tee gifts through the club itself? And that number is less than 3%. So typically, this is from Marriott down to the local club, unless you're mandating that the outside outing or the charity or the group is buying it through the club, they're usually bringing in their own gifts. So we wanted to basically drive incremental revenue for the club and for the pro and get that from 3% closer to 35%. So that's why we create collateral for the club. There's no mention of Birdie Box. Kind of think of us like Switzerland. We're agnostic to brands. It doesn't have to say our name. We're just like the Intel Pentium chip that's powering the Dell computer, but no one really gives it any credit. So we're kind of the janitor in the background. The other piece is that all we do is gifting, when the club pro is worrying about the members, they're worrying about food and beverage sometimes, greens fees and cart fees, and they're understaffed. So gifting falls about 200th on the priority scale, and our business, meaning corporate gifting, obviously not our business personally, but the industry alone is $38 billion in corporate gifting. And most of the hotels and clubs and resorts, I don't want to say ignored that number, but are not taking advantage of that. So we try to make their life easier. So I'll go briefly through a couple of things and then I'll let you guys go play golf. Some of the common questions: how much does it cost? You tell us. We work with any budget, although typically if you want to put a nice gift package together, we recommend, at least $25. But we've done things lower, we've done things to $1,000. We've done the Greenbrier Classic, the Wyndham Championship. We've run the whole gifting shopping suite for RBC Heritage, BMW Pro-Am. We've done gifts for John Deere Classic, Arnold Palmer Invitational, and so on and so forth. So it's a pretty big breadth. The other piece we heard is that we like unique items. A lot of the members that participate in your event also participate in other people's events. So they're getting golf balls and golf hats and towels. Not that it's not a nice gift, but it kind of gets repetitive. So how do you create that wow factor and create unique packages without calling 6 or 7 different vendors and trying to negotiate pricing, creating a great package, and doing all that work? So we do all that work for you. Other question is, well, we like to do mobile pro shops because our members want to choose. Well, we have the same thought process, but why limit it to one brand? Like I mentioned earlier, if you're Titleist or TaylorMade or Cleveland Trixon, or if you like Adidas or Under Armour or Nike, why not create that Neiman Marcus feel, merge with a pro shop, and then put some technology items like a Best Buy or an Apple. So you give everybody an array of different products that they can really resonate with. And then the last thing is about how much does the club make or how much does the pro make? Well, as we know, margins on golf balls and towels and hats and polos and are relatively limited. A lot of the products that you'll see on that little table outside, we're manufacturing from South America, from China, from Europe, from India. So we're getting products, at a very aggressive price. That way you can make 50, 60, or 70 points. So you would tell us the requirement. I don't have a set margin. You'd say, hey, Birdie Box, we need to make 50% on every gift. And then we would create the package based on your requirement. Even I want you guys to go play golf, so I'm going to cut it off. If you have any questions or thoughts, please let me know. Again, the rep's name here is Bob Blanda. Super nice guy. We thank you for the support of the section. We thank you for the time.
Thanks, Pat. Appreciate the sponsorship today. One quick other note before we get into Max's updates here on the tournament. John Kulo is going to become the general manager at Monterey Country Club tomorrow. I wanted to remind us that the Catalyst Seminar, if you're needing more points, is going to take place this Thursday, June 8th at 8 a.m. Unfortunately, I'm your speaker, so it'll be I'm sure it'll be entertaining at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we'll probably talk about how bad the Cavs do Wednesday. For those of you Northeast Ohio people. I think we've made our way through all of the other items on the list. So Max, how about if you come up and give a update on today's activities for golf?
Good afternoon. How's everyone doing today? Before I get started on today's event, I want to remind everyone that the section championship registration is now open. It'll be hosted at Bermuda Dunes Country Club this year. So I just want to bring that to everyone's attention that registration is now available. For today's event, once you depart here, you'll see your golf carts are out there staged. On your golf carts, you will find your scorecards, notice to competitors, and your hole locations. In addition to that, we did include a half sheet that has all our sponsors on there. So we ask that you send a note of appreciation to all our kind sponsors. Today we will have a generous purse of $15,000 thanks to their support. So we ask that you give them a note of appreciation. Today's format will be a 2-person scramble. And through the green, you may move your ball 1 club length on the green and 1 putter length, no nearer the hole. Men will be playing from the blue tee markers. Women will be playing from the red tee markers. On your notice on your golf cart, do pay attention to one item on there. We'll be playing the concrete drainage ways on holes number 1, 2, 10, 11, 15, 17, and 18 as an immovable obstruction. So make sure you read that on your notice to competitors. We will also be having an optional skins game, $40 optional skins game. So make sure if you want to participate in the team skins game, come visit us out there under the SCPGA tent and we'll collect your skins. So make sure you do that before we head out. We will be having 2 contests out there on the course today. Hole number 9, thanks to Impact Canopy and Kim Hubbs, the closest to the hole there. The winner will receive a customized canopy to the facility. And then hole number 17, thanks to Dan Horning and Barrett Martins, will be offering a next belt for the hole number 17. So those are your 2 contests today out there on the course. Once you depart here as well, we'll have lunch provided for you just out here to the left, the taco bar, so help yourself to that. That'll be available at 11:30. And then we are going to start golf today at 12:30. We're going to go a little bit earlier than 1. Since we're going to park this meeting a little earlier, we're going to get you out there at 12:30. So that gives you a little over an hour to get changed into your golf tower, grab a bite to eat, go to the practice range and get ready. So if you'll be ready to stage your cards about 12:20 to head out, that would be excellent. Beyond that, we have a full field of 62 teams today, so we ask that everyone play ready golf today. And then on top of that, we'll be doing scoring up here to the left of this room over here, so just ask that you report there following today's play. That's all on my end, so thanks very much and best of luck to you all today.
Thanks, Max. Well, it's been a fun morning. Hope you had a good time and you've made some new friends and you play well today. Enjoy the day at Mountain Meadows here and go play great. Have fun. This meeting is adjourned.